How's it going? Good to see y'all. I am hugely excited to finally be able to show this run off at a marathon because it's actually the first time that Rise of a Ronin got into a speedrun marathon. How do I know? Because I'm basically the only runner for this game. Before we get into the swing of things, I just want to point out one option item, like right here, and it is this one. And I don't understand why don't games have more of this, because this has an option to just automatically skip all of the cutscenes in the game. Because normally this is like, you know, like a 7-hour game if you do a speedrun with all the cutscenes, but there's just an option that skips all of them for you. You don't even have to, you know, skip the cutscenes in the game. No, they're just not there. Why do not more games have this? Like, seriously. Seriously. Anyway, we'll be here for quite a while, and if you think this is going to be a speedrun, I am sorry, this is actually going to be a 3-hour history lesson. So let's actually go ahead and get into it. We'll be playing on Dawn difficulty, which is basically this game's equivalent to an easy difficulty. We also have Dusk, Twilight, and later on Midnight once we've actually finished the game, but no, we're just going to leave it at Dawn because the game is hard enough. Now, keep in mind, I said this is a history lesson. Obviously, you know, this game takes some freedom with actual history as it transpired in Japan in the 1850s and 60s. But it's actually, like, for a video game, pretty much spot on. Now, I'll go ahead and try to point out some inaccuracies with it. But the first thing you gotta do is there are actually 2 main characters to the game that you can freely create. You know, like if you've ever seen any kind of character creation, Nokia, we're just gonna go ahead and go with the standard characters that the game gives us. And then we can select our blade sharpening origin. This is basically, you know, how your character, or how the first few abilities go. Like over the course of the game, you can mold this to your heart's content and eventually unlock everything, no matter which sharpening origin you selected. It's literally just the first couple of levels that matter there. But once I actually go ahead and confirm this, the screen will go fully white, and then it will go fully black. And as soon as it goes fully black, that is when time will start. So let's get ready on the timer and get the show going in 3, 2, 1, go! So we are part of a group called the Veiled Edge, which are basically, you know, like assassins that are opposing the ruling shogunate. And we are called a blade twin unit because, you know, we always work in pairs. Because, you know, for assassins, it's actually not a bad thing to do. Because, you know, if one dies, the other few can still go ahead and carry out the assignments. So they have been trained since they were kids to, you know, work together as a unit. And we are just going to go quickly through the tutorial. We're going to pick up the Odachi and the Katana as our weapons. Again, it doesn't matter too much. It's just the first 2 weapons that you will have access to throughout the game. So you could do some tutorials here and, you know, hit a dummy a couple of times, but we're just going to go ahead and continue with the weapons that we have. Now, keep in mind, this plays in 1853, so this will be the start of the game, and we'll go through quite a bit of history over the course of this game. For now, we're just going to make our way through the tutorial section here. We don't have to kill any of these enemies, we just have to go through the end. For the UI, in the lower right corner, you can see the weapons that I have equipped. So I have 1 melee weapon equipped and no ranged weapon at the moment. In the lower middle, you can see my health bar, which is the white bar, and on top of that is that blue bar, which is my ki or my stamina, if you will. You know, this game has been developed by Team Ninja. They like to use ki, like in the Neo series, but it's basically stamina, as you can think about it. So now we have to do our little, you know, tutorial fight against our blade twin. We now are introduced to the counter spark mechanic, which is basically a parry, but it works a little bit different. Like, it's not really a parry. It works like one, but it isn't. It's a bit strange, but just keep in mind, what I actually will try and do every time is to counter spark as many attacks as possible, because that feeds into the fear mechanic of the game. Which basically means that if I were able to at least counter spark the last hit of an enemy attack chain, the enemy will be feared. You can see that by the red color around their health and their stamina, which means their stamina will be reduced and they are more susceptible to my attacks, and they also cannot hyper armor through any of my attacks. So it's like really a thing that you want to keep going throughout the run, which also is one of the major reasons that you may win or lose time, depending on how good your counter sparks are over the course of the run. You can kind of see it now, you know, I counter sparked her attack here. And then she, got all the red color around her health bar and whatnot, and that means, okay, now I can actually go ahead and press my attack. Because as long as the enemy is not feared, they can just interrupt your attack chains, which, of course, makes you lose time if they were able to hit you and you're not able to counterattack. So a big thing is about, just be good at the combat, basically. Which is quite tricky because there are a lot of boss fights in this game, and the combat mechanics of this game are actually quite immaculate. Like, if you played the Neo series, you kind of know what's going on with that. There are about 8 different melee weapon types that have a bunch of different stances, which all come with their own unique attacks, martial arts, and even different counter-spark timing. So there's a lot going on in the combat. Anyway, we completed the tutorial, so to speak. We are now on to our first mission, which is to infiltrate the Black Ships. Because in 1853, what actually happened is that Commodore Matthew Perry was assigned by the US president, actually, to go to Japan and, if necessary, forcefully open their borders. Because ever since Shogun Ieyasu Tokugawa in the 1600s, sorry, took over and basically put all of Japan under martial law people because he's a shogun, he's a military leader. Japan was an isolationist country. They were not open to trade to any other country in the world. And, the US, because of different political and military reasons, wanted Japan as a trade partner to show their, military might and what they could do. And so Commodore Perry was ordered to sail to Japan and try and open their borders again and abolish the isolationist, thing that Japan had going for a while. And we are basically here on the ship of Matthew Perry to try and steal some secret messages that he was supposed to deliver. But also, if you run into him, just go ahead and kill him because, easy. And this is actually what we're trying to do here now, because that is him. Now, if you know history a little bit, you know that he will actually survive this. So we'll see how this fight goes. So far, not looking too good for him. Also not looking too good for me right now. The nice thing is you can freely change between your characters in a fight, which is quite nice because the enemy will mostly always go after the character that you are in control of. So you can kind of, make it so that the enemy is going after a character, and then you just switch to a different character and freely start attacking again, because you then wouldn't have to counter-spark their attacks. Now, we defeated Perry, but another assassin comes in and just completely wallops our behinds right now, as he will show them. It is actually possible to win this fight, but it doesn't have any notion to the story whatsoever, so you can just go ahead and get your ass beat here right now. And this is then again a major plot point because you have to select one of the characters to survive and the other will basically sacrifice themselves so you can go ahead and deliver the message. So basically we think now that one of our Blade Twins has died at this point, and we go back to our village and tell them what has happened, and a little while later our village now gets attacked by the Oniwaban, which is a assassination group under the shogunate. And they're basically destroying the village. However, this was a very secluded village. Nobody should basically know where it is unless you are part of the Veiled Edge. So, who could possibly have told them where we are? Not many people come to mind, and this is basically where you think like, oh yeah, okay, so our Blade Twin probably must have survived somehow. And, oh, hello, thank you for attacking me from behind, that is always lovely. Yeah, we will have a little chat with the Bladesmith, which is basically the leader of the Veiled Edge, about this, once we obviously have repelled this ninja attack right here. But since we're playing on easy difficulty, these guys are really pushovers. We'll not a lot going on with them. We can just use our martial arts to get rid of them pretty quickly. Then we have to go ahead and get rid of the second wave of attackers. A little bit more sturdy. Oh, come on, dude. You kind of don't want to go for the critical strikes on them because the animation for the critical strike is a little bit longer than just attacking them again. And, at this point we basically tell the Bladesmith, hey, we probably know that our twin is still alive, and the problem with that, we want to go ahead and search for them. The problem with that is you are not allowed to, well, abandon the clan, so to speak. It is punishable by death, so the only way for us to, you know, leave the Veiled Edge and go looking for our Blade Twin is literally through her. So we are now in a duel to the death with her, which we should win quite easily, and there we go. And yeah, you basically know that, you know, our Blade Twin is still alive, and we left the Veiled Edge village, and we've been wandering for 5 years, so there is a gap from 1853 to 1858 in the game right now. Now, to keep in mind is that Matthew Perry, you know, was there once in 1853 to try, or actually force Japan to open their borders, which then led to the Treaty of Kanagawa in 1854, where Japan actually did open its borders for outside forces again. However, our first task of business here is, because this is an open world game, this is actually the first open world game that had been developed by Ninja Theory. So it's a pretty big world, so we want to be able to traverse the world as fast as we can, obviously, because, you know, we are speedrunners here. So we want to get a horse. In order to get a horse, we have to liberate this village from the wandering Ronin here. Thankfully, only a couple of them. That most of them we can assassinate. However, this guy over here, he's an elite. You can tell it by the little icon above his health bar. So he won't be, you know, killed by our assassination attempt here. So we actually have to go ahead and get in a couple more swings in order to, well, get rid of him. And that means we have now liberated this village here. Obviously, you know, this is one of those open world activities that you can do. And for things, the villages give us our first horse. Hey, horsey! And you know what else we're gonna get? We are gonna go ahead and... Ooh, get up here. We're gonna pet a cat. Kitty! There are 100 cats strewn throughout the whole world that you can go ahead and collect, so to speak. And yes, I'm not just doing this for fun. Getting this cat and another one up here is actually mandatory for the speedrun. Because cats act as a sort of collectible, and whenever you collect one, you gain a couple of silver coins that we will need in just a little bit here. And there's actually like a crazy cat lady that actually collects all of those 100 cats that you find. I don't know how big her house is, but it has to be quite the mansion to be able to, you know, store 100 cats, and she also has to be pretty wealthy, I think, in order to feed all of them. But yeah, we're basically just on our way to the next mission objective. So, Argick, if you have anything to plug, feel free to go ahead.
I do, thank you very much. We have a €25 donation from Dev Insanity with no comment, but is putting it towards our bid war for the Sonic CD OST choice. And guess what? He's laughing over the other side of the corner there. Here, he doesn't want the US one to win, but it's between US and Japanese. So we start with Japanese here. Let's get the US soundtrack to win later. Yes, yes? Yes. What do you think of that, Aeshmah?
I think I might be a bit biased for that, but really?
I mean, to be fair, the Japanese soundtrack is actually phenomenal and it's really good. But the US soundtrack is slower by 3 seconds on every level, so, you know, we should make it time harder.
In the manner of time, yes, maybe we should go for that then. Because we're speedrunners, right? Save the frames, kill the frames, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Also, you know, just spite, because you've seen the lovely... tracker, ticker thing that he's put there. He's giving me thumbs up. He knows what he's done. If you keep an eye on the overlay every now and again, you'll see my wonderful face appear. And apparently there's now emotes available.
There was some memery going on earlier.
Too much memery. I went away at the shops and I've came back to memes. Oh, dang it. Anyway, back to the run. What is this you've just picked up?
We picked up a couple of items here by killing that one official that was guarding the gate. It's another little detour that we're doing because we want these silver coins for in just a little bit. It will become clear once I actually clear off this next village, which is not a optional objective. We have to clear this village because we're looking for a pass to go through this pass point right there into Yokohama, where we suspect that our Blade Twin might be. Now we're gonna wait here behind this guy until another enemy comes into view on the right side here. Because if we assassinate this guy now, the other dude will get feared, and as long as he is feared, I can just run up to him and also assassinate him. Otherwise, he would just go into combat, because enemies have to be in a certain range if you assassinate another one to get feared themselves. So I was just waiting for him to come into that range. Then we're gonna go ahead and headshot the dog, headshot the archer, kill the other dude, and the village will be liberated. Come on. He's still alive. Okay, there we go. So now that we have liberated the village, we can talk to the village elder, and he will tell us, oh no, you know, these bandits just came before you were here, and they stole all of our passes. So we have to go and look for that in a different castle. No, not really, but in a cave. But yeah, before we leave the village, we'll actually go to this horse trader over here, and that is what the silver coins that we collected so far come in, because we'll actually go ahead and buy another horse. It's a little bit faster than the horse we have, and since we're able to buy it like this early in the run, it doesn't save a lot of time, but it always saves like, you know, a couple seconds here and a couple seconds there, and over a 3-hour run, that starts to add up to, you know, quite a bit. So that is why we collected the cats and also killed that official so we could open that storehouse and get even more silver coins out of that big chest that I opened there. Right here we are now in the cave where supposedly the bandits were storing their loot, among them the passports that we're looking for. Gotta get rid of a couple of enemies here together with another Ronin that we will befriend in just a little bit here. Oh, hello. Now you can probably already tell that this game has quite a bit of RNG depending on how these fights go. Like you saw these ninja just completely vaulting over me and, you know, dodging my attacks, which obviously, you know, lost me a couple of seconds here and there. And that's just something that you have to make do with, because, you know, there will be a lot of fights in this game. We try to do our best to, you know, make them go as fast as possible. But sometimes, you know, the RNG can just say no and just completely dodge all of your attacks for long. Now this eccentric Ronin, oh, before we talk about him, let me just point out how great the follow system in this game is, because, you know, we've all played games where we are able, or we are being accompanied by an NPC, and because we're speedrunners, you go so fast that we just leave them behind, and then you have to go back and get them. This game doesn't do that, because the NPCs, if they're too far behind, they will catch up to you. Yes, you've heard that right. The technology is there. We could have had that in other games already. Anyway, before we start the mission with them to actually go ahead and get the passports, we are actually going to go ahead and grab a skill in our skill tree right here. And it is... well, no, it's this one. Handgun critical hit, right? And we're also going to the system. And we wanted to switch on that we will automatically sell everything superior or below. And then we will start the mission. And yeah, this is, or will turn out to be, Ryoma Sakamoto. Now, if you know Japanese history, you will probably recognize the game because he was a very prominent figure that led up to the Meiji Restoration. Again, currently the shogun is basically the head of state, so to speak, but he's only a military leader, right? Normally the imperial family would be at the head of Japan and, you know, resolving all political issues. But the shogun has basically taken over like 200 years ago, and they have not rescinded their rule ever since then. And there is, of course, a lot of you know, growing displeasure with the shogun, how he's leading the country, especially with the Western enemies and forces trying to come in and, well, essentially invading Japan in a way, because, you know, like, especially Britain and America and also France in a way, they're all wrestling for control over Japan, because Japan is seen as weak because of their isolationism. Because they, technologically speaking, they are basically barbarians in a way for the Western forces. You know, they have no guns, they have no gunships and anything, so they are just ripe for the taking from the Western forces. At least they think so. And so Japan is basically caught between a rock and a hard place politically as it's standing right now. This is a boss fight against Gonzo. He can be one of your allies if you let him live. We kill him in the speedrun because for this point in the game, he gives you quite a few good items that you can equip, especially like weapons and stuff. And we do want those because, you know, we want to go fast. Anyway, we got our passports now, so we could just go through the pass into Yokohama now. However, there's one more very important item that we want to pick up in the storehouse that we got the key for from Gonzo right here, which you will see in just a moment, because the game has so many good movement options. Like, you know, you can just run everywhere, you can obviously fast travel, you can use your horse, or if you get to a higher elevation, you can just go ahead and do this. And let me tell you, it feels so good to just glide around, you know, and take in like the landscapes here. Like the game, honestly, it doesn't look like the best. You've probably seen games that are prettier, but this is still a pretty phenomenal view. Like whoever says that this game actually looks bad, like I don't really know what you want out of video games, my guy, honestly. Anyway, now that we are in Yokohama, we actually didn't need the pass. We just flew over the border control here. We are going to go ahead and sell a couple of the items that we picked up quickly. And then we might need this and this. Should be fine. It should give us a bit of money. We're going to buy a couple of items that will basically boost our stats. Like more damage, more key damage, more key recovery, you know, things like that. And we're also going to go ahead and craft a couple of poison whetstones. Alright, cool. Got everything. Yeah, basically, you can think of that like, you know, stuff you do in like Dark Souls where you buff up before boss fights here. And we basically want to have buffs going for most of the boss fights that we will get into. It's also very important that we grab this banner here. They act as like fast travel points in the game, and we want to come back here quickly a little bit later. Now we're back with Saka with the Yoma here. Actually got to talk to him. And he is looking for his master, Yoshida Shoin, who you know, also opposes the Tokugawa shogunate. Not necessarily always peacefully, but so far at least. But this is also the point in history where Ii Naosuke is starting to, you know, round up opposition against the shogunate and starting to imprison all of them. So there's a lot of, you know, political tension going on, like even in Japan without the outsiders present. It just all comes to a head because of them, obviously. We have to go through these two guys real quickly. Ah, come on. One of the problems is if we use the Odachi and the martial arts skill once the enemy has been panicked, like it puts them away very far, so you might be able to miss your critical hit here. Okay. Put away your weapon, and we are... Oh, it's actually not my horse. Where's my horse? Where's my horse? Horsey? There it is. We're off to the Pleasure District. Hey, don't push me to the side. Because Ryoma thinks, you know, like, where can you get more information than in the Pleasure District? Which, you know, is true. So we're gonna go ahead and talk to some people there. But yeah, as I said before, in 1855 is also when Ii Naosuke started to run up the Sono Joy rebels, who had a slogan that, you know, expel the barbarians and revere the emperor. The barbarians, in this case, you know, being all the Westerners taking root in Japan at this point. And it was actually also the point where Yoshida Shoin raises his sword and actually starts leading a revolt, attempting to kill one of the servants in Kyoto of the shogunate. However, this is not a plot point in this game. He just got rounded up as part of the Ansai Purge, which also happens like a little bit later here. But yeah, in actual history, he actually was at the point where he was starting to go a little bit more violent in his views, so to speak. But yeah, while we're just going around here, argick, if you have anything to plug, this will be a good time.
We do indeed. We're going to start off by going, we are only 30 euros away from 5,000 euros raised. Absolutely fantastic there. We have a couple of donations here that have helped us on that one. We have a 50 euro donation from DFN, who says, sorry, HUDs, but I have to then turn around and say, sorry, DFN, you forgot to put it to the incentive, you numpty. You have one job. That is, please do put your donations towards the incentives. Remember, when you're on the donation page, there's a little box there that says add to incentive. Please do click that, as we do have a number of incentives going on right now. We have a number of bid wars that are currently open. We have one for this very run, the Rise of the Ronin. You are listening to the history lesson brought to you by Aeshmah, but you also get to influence the ending of the story. Do you kill or do you spare? You're going to rewrite history as we speak live at this event. That's how it works, right? Like, that's what we're doing. But yes, please do put it in there. We also do, of course, have our bid war as well for the Japanese or the US soundtrack. So if you want to keep the Japanese theming going, please do give generously and do put your money towards those donations as well.
Now we got into the Longhouse. Longhouse basically, you know, serves as your well, as your home in a way, and it's very important that we equip this and then get out of the menu again. It's very important for the run. It's absolutely not important. I just do it because I don't want to look like a numpty going through this, because we'll equip so many different items or you know, clothing as it were over the course of this. And, you know, every single point of armor or something that you put on, every single different set would give your character a different look, and you would just look like a clown going through this. And I kind of don't like this, so I take the couple seconds to, you know, just, you know, put on a style over here so we basically look like at the beginning of it, because we don't have anything else unlocked at this point. Yes, I do take timeless here. Try and do something about that. I also forgot to sell the Oban, I think. Yes, I did. Because I was wondering why I didn't have enough money. I'm just going to quickly go ahead and buy this, and then I will also go ahead and go into my inventory and actually equip the stuff that we picked up. Let's make us a little bit stronger here. Oh no, actually, that's fine. That's just so that we don't, you know, take a little bit less damage from the enemies that we will run into. I want this here, I want this here, I want this here, and this should all be fine. Okay, cool. Anything else that I'm forgetting? Nope. I know, I did actually forget something. Because we also want to use the treatises on strength. These will give me a couple of strength points that I can put into my skills when we need to do it. Thankfully, we don't need to do that right now, but it's just so I don't forget to do it a little bit later. Now here we can use our Intimidate skill to make one of these guys immediately run away, so we only have to fight 2 enemies. Hello? Which makes this fight go by just this little bit quicker. Because, you know, we got into Yokohama. Again, we are looking for our blade to win, but we don't really know where to find them, obviously, because Yokohama is a pretty big city, right? You can't just go into Facebook or something and see where they are at the moment. And so we got some information in the Pleasure District from one of the geishas there, but she only wants to give us the information if we are able to help her out by getting a camera. So what we did was we went to the local photo studio and asked if they had a camera, and they have one, but it has been broken by bandits. And then you saw Igashichi here, who is like an engineer who could repair it, but he needs the blueprints for it. So now we are on our way to another bandit hideout where we suspect that they brought the blueprints to. So we can then go ahead and repair the camera. So yes, this game actually has a camera or photo mode quest as part of the main storyline, which is also pretty funny because, you know, at this point in time, obviously the cameras were very much a luxury item. Not everybody had one, you know. People don't just had like smartphones where you can run around and take pictures. So it's very interesting that they were able to work this into the story right here. But this is also like one of the longest rides in the game where not much is happening. So, Argick, if you want to go through the donations that we have real quickly, now would be your time.
Are you in cahoots with HUDs? This timing is too suspicious and I don't like it. All right, fine. He's giving us a rousing speech that we must do. We have 30 euros from our very own HUDs 601. Friends, runners, and viewers across the globe, this is our hour. We stand together, united by our love of games, our passion for speed, and our determination to make a difference. Together, we can turn skill into hope or issue, and donations into bonus games. Every euro given is a step towards victory for Lilac Wars. 5,500 euro beckons, and I, argick, call upon you now. Donate to BSG, support Mind, and help us achieve victory against the incentive chiefs that threaten to deny your entertainment.
That was a pretty rousing speech.
And with that, we have hit over 5,000 euros! And the timing was very suspicious. That's why it was like, it literally came in the moment you said you can read.
Well, turns out that we are also now at the end of where we needed to go, so we will have to hold off on the other nations. I'm sorry. So, that worked out perfectly, honestly. But yeah, we are just going to go ahead and grab some items from these bandits over here real quick before we actually go into the proper mission. Oh, these guys are not happy that I'm stealing their stuff, but you know, they're bandits. They just stole it themselves, so what's the big hold up there, guys? Honestly. Horse? Hello? There you go. Yeah, the horses can be a little bit finicky to get on and off, for sure. You just have to go ahead and make the best of it. Before I continue, we are just going to quickly go ahead and grab another upgrade. Gonna be this one. And then we're going to go ahead and start the mission. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to infiltrate this ruin over there by air. We're just going to fly over there. Now we could go ahead and, you know, fight our way through all of that thing and gain a couple more experience points and armor and whatnot, but we don't really need this because we're playing on the easiest difficulty. We want to go through there as quickly as possible, so we're just going to beeline it to the end right here. We're going to use our grappling hook. And we have to technically only kill the elite enemy over here, but it is easier if you also take care of the ads. So we're going to headshot this guy. And then headshot this guy. Now, because he's so far away, he doesn't take full damage from our arrows. So we have to shoot him a couple more times. Oh, are you still alive? Hello? Oh, that is how. And this is actually the guy that we have to defeat, and he's actually the only enemy that we have to defeat over here. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch to Ryoma, because Ryoma has a style that is opportunistic against the big dude. Basically meaning it deals more damage, it deals more key damage, and it's just overall easier to use against him. So we want to switch over to Ryoma, because our main character doesn't have access to this particular style yet. We will later. It's going to counter-spark the attack. Wasn't able to counter-spark that, so I'm just going to switch characters to keep on the offensive. Switch back to Ryoma, and then we're just going to get rid of him. Grab the key. And then we can go ahead and get the blueprints that we were looking for, and that will actually go ahead and give us the camera. Now again, we did this for a geisha called Taka. Taka is actually a fictional character. She was not an historical presence, who got inspired by a book called Hano no Shogai, which basically translates to Life of a Flower by Seiichi Funuhashi. And she had, like, in that book, she had ties to Naosuke-ii, who was the Torii in Japan at that time, was basically like the right-hand man of the shogun. And I guess the developers were just a fan of that character, so they also put her in the game here. And we have to wait for this crosshair to turn red, then we can take the picture that we have to do, and that will conclude the mission. And now we have our camera! Camera mode unlocked! Woo! It's actually not quite done yet here, because now obviously we go back to the pleasure district in Yokohama and actually do the mission that we were supposed to do now that we have the camera. Because Taka wanted us to do a little bit of sneaking around there. Because, you know, if you're having your ear on the political current and all the conversations happening there, it's also good to, like, you know, have a photo and actually be able to see the characters there. Oh, hey, it starts outside. Doesn't start inside. You know, to put some pictures to the rumors, so to speak. So we're just gonna run around this house and take 3 pictures, some innocuous people and their conversations. Now, they don't necessarily have to be very good pictures, but you have to take, like, specific pictures. Like, as you can see, I don't even know what's supposed to see here because the backs are turned towards us, so we can't really tell who that was. But, I mean, it satisfies Taka, it satisfied the mission objectives, so we're just gonna go ahead and take this. Also, did I say that the game has grappling hooks? Because the game absolutely also has grappling hooks for you to traverse the world here. So, you know, we have horses, we have gliders, we have grappling hooks. This is basically just a better Sekiro, isn't it? And now that I've roused up the whole Sekiro speedrun community, hi guys, how's it going? Argick, I think you have time for one more donation to quickly read out.
We do have a quick one here, €25 donation from Rosen Hunter. It says, bonus game? Bonus game. Also, thanks for another great event for a good cause. And I'll now keep an eye out for any Sekiro comments that may come in your way now. Congratulations.
Absolutely. I mean, we're still a bit away from that bonus game, but I'm pretty sure we will be able to reach that, right, guys? Because we still have a couple hours to go, a couple good runs. You know, keep those donations going. And yeah, we took the 3 pictures that Taka wanted, but of course she also wants a 4th picture that we have to turn around and quickly get. And we will be introduced to another very important character, actually, that we're going to take this picture of. We will see him in just a moment here. Nope, that was the wrong one. There we go. And this is going to be Kogoro Katsura that we first of all have to defeat in a duel. Because he didn't like us taking that picture. Now what we try to do here is we want to try and corner Kogoro. So we can just wail on him. Because, you know, he is drunk. He doesn't really know what's going on right now, honestly. Which means that he has a buff to his ki regeneration. Like you can see that I can barely deplete his ki. Because it just regenerates so quickly. Ah, come on, he survived that little bit. That is, But hey, we were able to overcome him, and obviously, once you defeated somebody in honorable combat, what's the next best thing to do? Well, of course, we're gonna go ahead and befriend him. Because what this game is basically trying to do is it introduces you to basically every single major historical figure during that time, and still tries to spin like a coherent story around it, which it has, or it works, it kind of doesn't. Like, if you, again, expect like a true historical record of what is happening there, don't. It is still a game at heart. Very good game, by the way, don't get me wrong there. But like I said before, it does take some leniences with that, because neither Kogoro nor the other 2 characters that we meet here, Genzui and Shinsaku, were historically in Yokohama during this time. Now, they were all students of Yoshida Shoin that we were looking for together with Ryoma. But at least I have found no record that they actually were in Yokohama at this time. Like, even Yoshida Shoin was actually in Edo at this time. Which we will go to later, but not at the present. Wait, it's here. So yeah, at this time we are now in cahoots with Kogoro and the anti-shogunate people. And this is not the right... No, it was this one. Oh god. I was gonna say, this doesn't look correct. No, it's because I passed over to the wrong one. But yeah, they basically said that, hey, we have information on the Demon Claw Samurai, because apparently they are working for Townsend Harris, which is a diplomat coming in from the US and acting as their bodyguard. And they want us to, well, rather they want to attack the US legislature here to, you know, expel the barbarians, because they don't like them. So we are only joining them because we want to get information on the Demon Claw Samurai, and we think it's the best idea, you know, to join them in this attack on the US politicians right here, which, well, you know, it's a very politically loaded period of time, so there's a lot of conflicts politically induced. For us now, just want to wait for this guy to leave the room so that we can assassinate him without the other guy noticing. Because we actually want or need to kill this guy to get the key for the office. Ah, God. Mistimed that. And again. Okay, I'm just gonna dodge that and counter-attack myself. Now, this attack you saw me do just now is the one that you will see quite a bit over the course of this one, because it's actually quite overpowered. Like, just these continuous strikes that Ryoma can do, and that also our main character can do once we learn that particular ability. And at least on the lower difficulty here, it is like super powerful to do. That was the wrong button. So we're now in the ballroom, and we actually do meet our Blade Twin. Now, she isn't quite too happy to see us, though, because, again, we are trying to assassinate Harris here, and she is working as a bodyguard for him, so she won't let us do that. I wonder why. And I personally really dislike these fights, not because they're bad necessarily, but they're so awkward for me because your Blade Twin actually has, like, similar to something like Sekiro, where you have the Shinobi tool to your arm. Like, she is the Demon Claw Samurai, and she can use her arm in a similar manner. And the attacks that she can do are really quite something. Like, they're really hard to predict. They can deal a lot of damage to you. They have a lot of range. And she is also, like, quite the bunny, as you can see. Just hopping all around the battlefield. Like, you can barely catch up to her. So all of the fights that are against her are actually quite hard. Because you want to try and be as aggressive as you can be, but you're really not getting a lot of opportunities here. And now we are in the second phase of the fight, where she actually switches her weapon out to a saber. And actually has also a minigunner assisting her. So we don't want to go into the entrance area of the room anymore, otherwise we will get hit by the minigun. Now, we could go ahead and just kill the minigunner, but that would obviously take a little bit of time. So we're just gonna go ahead and wail on her, and she is just charging like a champion. Jesus Christ. Okay, still able to make it, and we are out of here. So yeah, obviously, you know, we were not able to assassinate Harris. The Harris Treaty will still go through, because that is basically what we were trying to circumvent. Like a trade agreement between the US and Japan at this point, because we are, you know, joining the anti-shogunate faction at this point, who are against all of the Westerners and anything that they do, basically. But yeah, they were able to escape both Harris and our Blade Twins. So once again, we are basically, you know, back to not knowing where they're going to be, so we need more information once again. And in order to get more information, we're just going to go ahead and talk to our friends of the anti-shogunate movement once again, Katsura and the others, once the game actually will let me do so. So you always have to wait a little bit before you can open the map again, you know, once you are coming back from a story, because the game has to catch up and tell you, you know, what happened, what time it is in allocating the experience, blah-de-da-de-blah. So again, we're going to talk to Kogoro over here, and they were not able to track down Harris. They don't know where he is, but they just tell us, you know what, why don't you go to the Grand Villa in Yokohama right now and just talk to the pro-shogunate forces. They probably know where they might be. Which, you know, is the point where the story starts making not a lot of sense to a lot of people, because it really is one of those stories where you're basically ping-ponging between the anti- and pro-shogunate forces, like every other mission, so to speak. And it really makes you question, like, okay, why do these guys still want to be friends with us? You know, why are they accompanying us on missions? Why do they even give us those missions if we had just foiled their plans, like one mission before that? And like the general answer to that question is, well, because you're so powerful and you're so good at what you do, like everybody just wants to keep being friends with you, which in my opinion is a bit of a weak argument for it, but well, it's just how the story has been spun to, you know, make any sense while you are meeting all of these characters and are actually able to get close to them. Now we're just on our way, we just talked to Yukichi and Ernest Sato over here, and we convinced them that no, we are not an assassin. We just want to meet with Harris again to get information on the Demon Claw Samurai, and they agreed to try and help us find him because he has gone into hiding because of our assassination attempt on him. And we are now on our way there, so while we do that, argick, if you want to go ahead, now would be a good time.
Hello, that's me. Yes, we got a €15 donation here from Chris J4 that says, Japanese soundtrack, please. I'll be so thrown off if it's the US one. Also, let's hit that milestone for Lilac Wars, folks. And we also have a €25 donation from our very own Mies LWD. It says, can we have the bid war going on Sonic then? You know, Japan versus who is going to win? Shout outs towards Aeshmah, the volunteers, runners, and BSG in general. It's 6 years and counting. Always a pleasure to be here. Love you all and have a great run, buddy. Cheers, Mies. And Mies, thank you very much for that donation. It is great fun. Aeshmah, one question for you on this. Quick update for your bid war. We are currently on kill at $20. 20 euros. I almost said dollars. I almost said it. 20 euros is at 20 with spare at 0. So we do have the double bid war going on right now. So remember, you can shade the story. But Aeshmah, question for you as I'm watching this. Would you say this kind of plays similarly to like the Yakuza Like a Dragon games? In that, like, it's a mix between Sekiro and that I'm seeing with like the movement and just the world map is looks like it's very similar.
I mean, it is from the developers that did the Neo series, so it's probably closest to that, which, you know, in turn is pretty close to the Soul series, Sekiro kind of included. So I can definitely see that. I wouldn't necessarily say it's similar to the Yakuza games, definitely not gameplay-wise, because this is putting way more emphasis like on the fights, like the the Dark Souls series or Sekiro per se. Probably the story, though, I can see that being close to the Yakuza series, especially if you have played Like a Dragon Ishin, which is actually set in the same time period as this game. And, for example, Ryoma Sakamoto, which we met a little bit earlier in this game, who's actually a major player during this time, is the main character from Like a Dragon Ishin. So once we actually get closer to that time period, when he goes to Kyoto, we will actually see a lot of the characters that also, played a role in Like a Dragon Ishin. But, it's later in the game. We'll get to that when we get there. For now, we are meeting up with Yukichi here because, again, we are looking for Townsend Harris to get more information on the Demon Claw Samurai. And he has gone into hiding, so there are 4 hiding spots that he has here. Oh, actually, I forgot to equip something. Let me quickly go ahead and remedy that. Information here. We do want to grab this real quick, and then we can be on our way. There are 4 points that you can investigate to see if you can find Townsend there. However, he's always in the same spot, so once you've done this once, you always know where you have to go. And it's thankfully not random, so you're not on the receiving end of the RNG at this point, where it could just be anywhere and you just have to see where you would have to go, which is very nice. Very much appreciate that. But we also will get into another fight with another very prominent figure at this point, which will be Jules Brunet, who is a French officer, which later on went on to train the Japanese or the shogunate forces in Western-style military tactics. However, he was actually not in Japan at this time. So, yeah. The game, it's getting its history a little bit confused here. Now, keep in mind, we're still in 1858, and Brunet wasn't in Japan until, I think, 1866. So I'm not quite sure what he's doing here, but I guess the game just really wanted to include him. Ah, God, how did I not parry that? Well, thankfully I was able to poison him, so he will start losing health. Okay, got that, cool. Now, the biggest problem with Jules is really his shield, because, samurai are not really trained to fight against shields, so it's really hard to get through. So you're just really waiting for opportunities to do that. The camera screwed me over a little bit there, because we're fighting in this corner. Now, thankfully, I still got him. But yeah, sometimes you're just not only fighting with your enemies, but you're also fighting with the camera a bit, depending on where it goes, because, those are very dynamic fights you have in this game, so the camera can be a little bit of an issue if you get into a corner like that. Now, we defeated Jules. We coerced Townsend out of his hiding spot there, and he was like, you know what, I'm not really trusting you, because you really just tried to assassinate me a little bit earlier there, so I'm not going to give you the information you want unless you go over to this temple over here, which actually was acting as like the consulate for the American forces, and help us expel the Ronin that took over there. So, we agree, because once again, our character doesn't really have any strong political ties to anybody, even though he knows everybody. So we just agreed to, yeah, okay, we just want to, you know, get information on the Demon Claw Samurai, so we're going to help you expel those anti-shogunate forces from the temple. Now, Jules is going to accompany us on that, you know, to make sure we actually uphold our end of the bargain. And once again, we can just fly over to the top-level entrance of this temple and do the boss fight. Because one thing I really like about this game is, you know, even though you have this mission-based structure, the locations feel like real-world locations. You know, you have not these contrived layouts that you do in a lot of other games to make a level seem longer or more complicated than it is, for, you know, better or worse, I guess. Oh, I'm using the wrong weapon. Because you do want to use the Odachi and the Mimio Ryu style. Ah, was locked into my art there. Like, this fight is interesting in the sense that we just met Genzoi a little bit earlier, and we're actually friends with him because he was also part of the, you know, assassination attempt on Harris. And now we're fighting them, and there's nothing we can do about that. Like, this is a main story mission that we have to do for the pro-shogunate forces. So, and that is where, like, a disconnect for a lot of people started to happen, because, you know, they always wanted to be friends with Genzoi and the other anti-shogunate forces, but sometimes you just have to switch sides. And there's a bit of a disconnect going on, like, in the story tone, as I explained earlier. I personally really dislike this fight, or basically any fight against enemies wielding two swords, because I can never really get used to their attack patterns. As you can probably see right now, because this dude is not playing ball. But we nearly have him. There we go. Okay. Not the greatest fight, but we got through, and that is really all I want out of this, if I'm honest. But yeah, now we have defeated Genzo. We are getting some information on the Demon Claw Samurai from Townsend Harris here. We are telling Genzo, hey, you know, we don't have anything against you. We just wanted information on our Blade Twin. It's nothing against you personally. We just need to get that information out of the other guys there. We're still friends. Don't worry about it. Bit of dialogue to get through here, and then we will be going to the other mission that we have access to at the moment, where we are supposed to intercept a secret message from Nasuke-e to, I think, the Shogunate? No, I think it was from the Imperial Court to the Shogunate, excuse me. And while we are on our way there, argick, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, begrudgingly, because they pointed out to me that every time you pass it over, it's when my face is in the bar. Why are you timing it like this, Aeshmah? Every time on the dot. But we do have a €50 donation here from DFN again. Says, allow me to fix my mistake. To which I say again, sorry, HUDs. And that puts it to the bid war for the OST to US. So if I do a quick refresh on that bid war there, I believe that means we have a lead change on that. Ooh. So our music choice right now is currently €105 to the US soundtrack to 50 to Japanese. So Huz is just shaking his head in disappointment there. If we want to keep the theming going correctly, if you want to get that Japanese soundtrack, then please do get your donations and do put them towards the incentive. We are aiming for that bonus game as well at 5,500 later on this evening in approximately 7 hours time, plus minus Marathon Drift. But yeah, back to the run here.
I mean, come on, people, keep donating towards the Japanese soundtrack, because obviously we're watching Rise of the Ronin here, you know. Show a little bit of sportsmanship towards that, I would say. But yeah. Come on, horse, please. What can I say right here? Yeah, right. The resources that we're picking up along the run, you can probably see that our character actually does this automatically, and they have quite a bit of range in order to pick up those things, so you really don't have to be too close to collect all of these. Now, it's a bit random what you get, and we're not entirely dependent on getting a lot of them, but at certain points we do want to have specific resources in order to able to craft more of these poison whetstones that we will be using against some of the bosses here. So, you know, it does come in handy, but it's not necessarily a requirement, I want to say. Because if you don't get like the poison whetstones, like, it's not that much of a detriment, but it is really nice to have them for sure. But, you know, it's not something that you would reset your run over if you weren't able to get it. Like, there are other methods to be able to do that. This is also like one of those special missions where you get like a bonus reward if you do them bloodless, meaning you don't kill anybody. However, we don't really need to care about that because the reward isn't big enough for us to not go ahead and do that, because it would take longer to do that if we were to fight only with our fists. And we're just gonna go here to this house and fly over to where we need to go, which is this inn over here, where the people are residing. And we're just quickly gonna take care of this guy. Now, I definitely did not want to go in here and allow even more enemies, so... Hey. Oh god, this is actually so dark. Where even am I? Oh. Where am I? Ah! We're back here. Okay. So we fell off the roof, so we're just gonna quickly go back in there. Well, I can definitely say this never happened before, so I guess it's a proper marathon run now. I actually want to stay in there and get to the... I don't even know where my allies are at this point. They're just fighting somewhere in a courtyard that I have never seen, I think. So we just quickly go through that door while they are busy being somewhere else. I don't know. We'll open this treasure box here to try and find the message that we're looking for, but it's actually not there because this big guy is holding it. So we really only have to defeat Ose here. Of course, he brings some friends with him that hopefully my allies will take care of. Oh, I overextended a little bit too much there. I'm just gonna go ahead. The nice thing is that basically in every mission, or most missions, yeah, you will have allies with you, up to 2 at a time. And they're actually helping you in the fights, and they're actually quite competent, I want to say. Like, they're definitely not dead weight, as they tend to be in a lot of other games. Like, they can actually hold their own against these enemies, making it so that you can just go ahead and focus on the actual boss fight. Now, the game is actually programmed in such a way that whoever you are targeting, your allies are not targeting, so they will, you know, go ahead and actually fight the ads, because I was fighting the main enemy. If I were to log on to an ad, somebody of my allies would actually go ahead and fight the boss itself, which can be handy sometimes if you want to get rid of the ads first. But yeah, we got the message. We did kill a couple of guys, but again, it was just for bonus reward. So we don't really matter that much. And then we'll go back to our friends at the Sakura Inn and tell them that we did get the information on the Demon Blade Samurai, as we had... Demon Claw Samurai, excuse me, as we had hoped. And we also got the message that they sent us out to get. They could actually go ahead and also give this message to Taka instead of Katsura over here. No, Kogoro, sorry. But it actually turns out to be a fake anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It only is able to, you know, strengthen your allegiance to either of these factions at this point. However, with all of that done, we now know that Yoshida Shoin, you know, the master of Kogoro, Genzoi, Shinsaku, and Ryoma, has actually been captured and put into prison by Nasuke-e as part of the Ansai Purge. So, of course, you know, they want to go ahead and free their master. Oops, wrong way. So we actually need to assemble all of them, because Shinsaku is actually off to a gambling den somewhere that we have to find and bring him back, and that is exactly what we're trying to do. Now, the one thing is, this is called the Chinatown Kiheitai, which is a paramilitary faction that Shinsaku actually... I forgot to talk to them, didn't I? I delivered the letter, but I actually forgot to start the mission. Oh, well, that happens. But yeah, the Kiheitai, excuse me, are a auxiliary irregular militia that has been founded by Takasuki, which basically promoted the recruitment of commoners into new socially mixed paramilitary units. But again, is a little bit of an anachronistic thing going on here, because that actually didn't happen until a couple of years later. So, you know, the game is being a little bit too fast with its history here at this point. But it is what it is. But yeah, we're just making our way over to Chinatown over here, where we'll find some of them. Yeah, there we go. Now they're here. Gonna quickly get rid of them. Because they're a bit of an unruly bunch, you know, they are acting on their own here. I actually got rid of the other guy as well. Okay, cool. This is Fumi. She is Genzoi's wife. She was helping us, you know, go ahead and find Shinsaku here, which is when she ran into Kiheitai. And now we know where he is, and we are going to have to, well, convince him to come back and help us free Yoshida from prison in a moment. But first of all, again, we're just quickly making our way through here. Just jump the gap. Swinging over. And again, there's more that you could do in this mission, like explore more, kill more enemies, get more loot. We don't need any of that. We're just gonna go right here and have a little fight. Gonna wait for my key to come back. Now he does actually have a phase 2 where he switches weapons. Then we also have to switch our styles accordingly. Good thing is that Jules is actually pretty good against the style in his second phase. Now he also gets ads in the second phase that hopefully Jules will be able to keep occupied while we take care of Shinsaku. Okay, there we go. Now he basically attacked us because, you know, he heard from Genzoi that we were fighting against the anti-shogunate forces now, and we're just like, no, you're mistaken. You know, we didn't switch sides, we just wanted info. And then it's like, okay, well, if you say that, then I'm fine with it, and I will help you. And now we have one of the pivotal missions of the first act of the game, where we are trying to, you know, free Yoshida Shoin from imprisonment over here. And we can actually do this in 3 different ways. We can either follow Genzoi, we can follow Shinsaku, or we can follow Ryoma's plan in order to get into the prison. We will actually go ahead with Genzoi's approach, because he just wants to storm the prison. And, you know, we're speedrunners. All the other approaches that we could do at this point would mean that we will have to do some more side questing beforehand, and that is not fast. We like to do it fast, so we're just going to go ahead, take all of our forces, and storm the prison like head on. Before we do that, though, we're quickly going to the apothecary and buy some more buff items. A couple of these, couple of those, and more of that as well. And then we are on our way to prison. Now, the interesting fact about this point is that Takasugi is actually the only one in recorded history to have visited Yoshida while he was imprisoned. He was also imprisoned in Edo, not in Yokohama, so you know, there's a couple more differences going on there. But in order to serve the story better, I guess that is why they put them in Yokohama first here, because Yoshida, I don't know if he was never in Yokohama, but at least he wasn't in Yokohama at this point in time. There's actually be a plot point a little bit later that in 1859, so in a year from now, Choshu, where Yoshida was actually imprisoned before he was sent to Edo, was ordered by the shogun to send their most dangerous insurgents to Edo for execution, which will be a plot point in just a little bit, and you'll probably see where this is going. For now, though, just gonna quickly make sure that our equipment is correct. Got a better katana. I don't think, you know, we want the revolver. That is actually very important. We want to equip the better gun, and we want to grab this one. Right. Okay. The interesting thing. Oh, we also want to. No. What? Oh, right, we want to bring Ryoma over Kogoro, that is it, and then we are ready to go to prison, hell yeah! The interesting fact for this game is, you saw the skill tree there, And how this game actually works, or how other games normally work, is if you have a skill tree like that, you normally raise your attributes and that unlocks skills. In this game, you first unlock the skills and then those raise your attributes. So you have to keep two things in mind if you go through the skill tree. Like, either do you want the actual skill, or are you just grabbing the skills in order to raise your attributes? We're trying to obviously, make this as efficiently as possible. Mainly focused on dexterity. Oh my god. Hello. Dexterity and strength, with dexterity helping us deplete the enemy's key and then strength depleting the actual health. And we have to go ahead and defeat this guy in order to get the key for the main complex of the prison here. Okay, there we go. I'm taken care of. Gonna fly over. You can already... Normally we were supposed to, go to a different part of the prison and then get information of where the key is located. But of course, we already know that because we played the game before. So we can just immediately go for that official, grab the key and then go here to the main complex of the prison, where we will fight our next boss. There's this big dude over here. The very large lad. I know this is the point where the Autumn Current skill from Aeshmah, where he just, repeatedly attacks an enemy, comes in really handy because, the large enemies tend to not block a lot of attacks; they just tend to tank them, and you can just really see his health bar melt away pretty quickly because of that. He's in the second phase. He's just going all hand-to-hand combat, so we can switch to Genzo here because he's actually better against that combat style than Aeshmah is, if we want to. Showing off his sumo moves, and there we go, so we get another key, and then we can go to the actual prison cells, where we will actually find Yoshida Shoin, the master of all these people that we've been looking for. However, he's actually, well, not gonna escape, because his reasoning is if he were to escape right now, it would be an admission of guilt, that he actually was guilty of whatever he has been charged with. So he actually remains in prison, but gives us a letter to his sister that we should deliver in his stead. So we are just gonna get out of here, technically without having resolved what we came here to do, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. But yeah, he will shortly be transferred to Edo for execution, and that will basically be another major plot point for the next acts of the game going forward. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and deliver his letter over to Fumi here, and then we'll make our way back to the Sakura in order to rejoin with our allies. Now everybody is going different ways. We are the only one who's supposed to go with Fumi and protect her on her way back, just in case we would attract too much suspicion. But you actually kind of do, because there are some ninjas coming for us. Oh, got it. That shot. Now it is easier to just use a gun and go for headshots against them instead of fighting them, because it actually is an instant kill if you get it. But as we all know, ninjas are kind of fast, so it's a little bit finicky to get the headshots on them. Oh, come on. How did that not hit? Okay, I'm just missing now. Doing this the old-fashioned way. Like, they're not the most durable enemies, but it's obviously, faster if you can just go ahead and headshot them instead of having to kill them this way. There's a third wave of ninjas coming here, but thankfully we can just run past them. We do not have to fight them, at all. You can see them, already on the rooftops over there. But we can just go ahead and hit the story trigger here, and the mission basically concludes. However, we were overwhelmed by another assassin, actually the same one that, quote-unquote, killed our Blade Twin at the start of the game when we were on the Black Ship trying to assassinate Matthew Perry. He took Fumi hostage. He also took the letter she was carrying. So, all in all, it was a pretty big defeat for us, actually, because neither Yoshida went out of prison, and we lost Fumi and the message. And basically, they're holding Fumi hostage now in order that we do not intercept the Ansai Purge that I was talking about earlier, where Nasuke-E is now rounding up a lot of the anti-shogunate movement in prisons in order to execute them. which is, you know, also Yoshida Shoin's fate here. Because now we're doing a little bit of a time leap, and we just witnessed the execution of Shoin Yoshida, where, you know, said those famous words, you know, rise as one, which is obviously, you know, open to interpretation how we are supposed to go ahead and rise as one. And that is like where everybody now has like different opinions on, okay, what are we going to do going forward from here on out. For now, though, we're just following. Oh, yeah, we also fast traveled from Yokohama to Edo now. This is now the next year. You know, we were in Yokohama in 1858, and we are now in Edo in 1859. Now, Edo at this point in time is also like ransacked by cholera, which apparently the Westerners have brought to Japan, which, you know, even more strains the tensions between them. But while I just go ahead and follow Ryoma here, argick, if you want to go ahead and read us a donation.
You can indeed. We have a €30 donation from Big the Day that says, ba da da ba, yeah, stolen backpack. That is, of course, referring to the little ditty that is the Japanese soundtrack from Sonic CD there. But put the bid war towards US, so haha. There was a premature cheer in the background there, which I'm very, very happy about. But yeah, we do have our bonus game coming up. You can see it on the screen right now. We are €419 away from unlocking today's bonus game of Lilac Wars. We want to hit that 5,500. We are almost there. And of course, just to let you all know, we are raising money for Mind. They're a nationwide organization committed to preventing mental health issues and to provide support to individuals and families just facing mental health challenges. And all the donations raised here this week will, of course, be going to Mind. So please do continue to give generously.
And don't forget to put your money towards the incentives. No, it has happened before. Don't do that.
No, we want that. We do actually have an important incentive coming up. I'm going to get Tech to do me a favor and pin this one for us for a bit. We have Celeste. Now, Celeste is a fantastic run. We have Raccoon Gal going to be running that later on in the afternoon for us, early evening. It's an all red berries run, but we do have an incentive to upgrade that to all full clears. So if you want to see even more Celeste, because come on, who doesn't want to see Celeste? It is a phenomenal speed game. We can upgrade that category. It is currently $255. So if you want to put that towards that one, out of the 500 that it needs, halfway there, we'll leave it sitting there for a bit. Let's make that bar go burr. Let's make that bar go up a little bit. And of course, feel free just to let me read some of the donations. If you want me to say things within terms and conditions, we can do that.
Very good. And we have also just, rejoined with our friends here. They are a bit in hiding because, you know, the Internet Shogunate forces are currently being investigated and being rounded up in prisons all across the land. So, of course, they want to lay low a little bit. However, we got some help from Taka here. She has actually rescued Fumi from, the prison there. So they now don't have a bargaining chip against us anymore. So we are kind of free to move again, which we will do by helping Princess Atsuko, who is trying to, stage a coup against the shogunate. However, she's not doing too hot with it because, as she will receive news in just a little bit, there's happenings in her home province. But we still, in order to maybe recruit her and her clan to our side, we are going to go ahead and help her. Because the thing is, most of our friends here are from the Choshu domain, whereas, Princess Atsuko is from Satsuma, and they are like mortal enemies. They've been for decades. So them cooperating is not something that you will hear of often, if at all, actually. And I want to say, this is probably the most confusing and labyrinthine level in the game, because, this... Oh my god. House is a bit burning down and breaking, so we just have to hopefully make our way through this pretty quickly. This is like one of the levels where you probably get lost the most, especially if you're playing it for the first time, because there's just so many bends and twists like in the path that you have to keep track of if you want to go through this fast. So we're just going to take a right there, and we are actually already out of it. Just dodging some more enemies. We make our way over to the rooftop here. Now you would have to go through all of the courtyards over here, but we can thankfully apply a little trick by going to the rooftop over there and then using our glider to go to this rock formation in the middle. Then we can then use our grappling hook and then just fly over there right to the end where the boss fight will be. Oh, no, don't do that. Sometimes that can just happen where you think you're grappling onto the point over there, but the lock-on is actually still on an enemy for some reason. And we are now fighting the blue demon. You know, he's the guy that captured Fumi. He's the guy that technically killed our blade twin at the start. So we are hopefully getting a little bit of a payback here. But he's actually quite the formidable opponent, if you haven't noticed already. So he can definitely put up quite the fight. Oh, come on, dude. You basically don't have any key anymore. There we go. Oh, whenever possible, we want to go for this pistol execution that you can only do if you actually have a pistol equipped, because it deals about double the damage to a normal critical hit. So it's very potent to do. Ah, come on, dude. You have basically no health left, do you? He's just fighting tooth and claw for this last little bit of health there. Oh my god, there we go. Like, obviously, you know, the enemies get stronger and stronger the less health they are with different phases and mixing more attack patterns into their repertoire. So them surviving with just a sliver of health left at the end can definitely throw you a bit for a loop there. But yeah, we have helped Princess Atsuko, and now we are on to the last quest in the first act of the game already, which will be the Sakurada Gate incident, which is a pretty famous historical happening there, where Natsuki was assassinated like right outside the Shogunate Palace in Edo by a band of Ronin, played by us at this point. So we are basically gearing up here. Another important thing that happened, Taka got assassinated by the Blue Demon before we set out for this mission here. And she was actually pretty close to Natsuki. Again, she was a fictional character, he is not. But apparently they had a bit of a thing going, which is why he was, you know, visiting her grave there just now. Doesn't matter for us, because our friends are out for blood, and we will join them in that. Once again, you know, we're doing it all just because we want information on our Blade Twin, because we suspect that she might be in cahoots with them. So we'll just go ahead, start the mission, and then quickly grab another skill. It will be this one. Anything else? No. Okay. All right, here we go. This is basically just one big fight where we just attacked, you know, Natsuki on his way to the Edo Palace, and we have to find the two enemies that are using dual katanas. Those are the only one that we are interested in at the moment. As you can see, it can be a little bit finicky because there's a lot going on with our forces fighting his bodyguards. So it can be a bit finicky actually identifying which enemies you have to fight and then getting into a fight with them. And once again, I have to admit, I am not very good at fighting enemies that are using two swords or dual swords. Their attack patterns are just alien to me. I don't know, I cannot get that timing down whatsoever. Especially if he's being supported by the spear user over there. Okay. He's done with you. Because obviously the game or the mission doesn't end with just, you know, you defeating those guys. No, you also have to fight him, obviously. Well, thankfully his attacks are a little bit more telegraphed. So it's easier to counter-block them than his bodyguards for some reason. It's always a bit funny to me. Here we just have to deplete his health to about half before he changes phases. And there we go, and now he gets help from his body or true bodyguard, helper, whatever. So we're now fighting him and the Blue Demon at once. But thankfully, my allies should be able to hold the Blue Demon at bay while I deal with Natsuki here. When they get to half health again, they will use a Key Blaze like that. where they now have unlimited ki and are dealing fire damage because they, they set their swords on fire. So you really want to go for these counter sparks right now to deplete their ki as quickly as possible so they get out of the state. Alternatively, you can kill one of them first, but usually they will run out of ki before they run out of health. But in order for them to use the Keyblades, they have to be both alive. So if you can just unalive one of them, that already makes things quite a bit easier. But yeah, Manabe is quite the agile opponent once again. So you have to really work to get them to where you can go ahead and hit them. Because he's just so jumpy around the battlefield, like everywhere. I can just see, trying to attack him and he's just going the completely different direction. He's just not hitting them like at all. But yeah, it was an okay fight. Not the best, not the worst, but that was the end of the first chapter of the game. We are on to the next one, like immediately. As you saw, we are now not in Yokohama anymore. We've now made it over to Edo, which will be the next like big area where the game will be taking place. And we are now having a little bit of chat. Okay, well, how are we actually going to proceed now that our master Yoshida Shoin has actually died? Because everybody's like, okay, what now? How do we proceed from here? And everybody obviously has different opinions on what they want to do now. So we're gonna meet our friends over in the estate in the Choshu clan villa, and having a bit of a chat. Let me see. What do we need for the next one? Oh, right. Sorry, I got confused with which mission we were actually on. I forgot about one. But yeah, we have to go down there, which will be a bit of a longer ride once again to meet up with our allies. So, Argick, if you have anything to plug, I guess now would be a very good time to go ahead and do so.
Plug? I'm not a sink. No, we are doing very well here. We do have plenty coming in. We have 10 euros from Crazy Yo that says, Yo BSG, Yo HUDs, Arg, Aeshmah. I'm really enjoying this relaxing and working from home to the marathon. I've seen some really entertaining runs this week and definitely excited for CD. I'm especially looking forward to the classic Sonic trilogy tomorrow, the ultimate showdown race. May the best one win. Thank you very much, Crazy Yo. Putting that towards the Sonic CD bid. Well, they're putting it to Japanese. Boo. But also, yay. I'm conflicted because I want to keep the Japanese theming going, but I also don't want HUDs to get time saved. But yeah, also I am doing a little call to action here. We are 10 minutes away from 1 hour 30 minutes on the run. Everybody, let us make that Celeste bar go burr with a 10 euro donation train for Aeshmah's history lesson here. Let us send wonderful messages to Aeshmah Sensei, teaching us all the history here. So if you can, please do get your 10 euro donations ready for that in 10 minutes. Get on this train.
Speaking of history, now that we have successfully, quote-unquote, repelled the Americans from taking a foothold in Japan, it's now the turn for the British to have their go, which our Japanese friends don't really take good liking to, so we are going to go ahead and burn down their consulate, as you do, as rebels, I guess. And in order to do that, we will take Ryoma over Shinsaku. We will check our equipment because we should have gotten quite a few good things at the end of the last mission here. Let me just quickly upgrade my equipment a little bit. We're also going to grab another skill. And then we are ready to storm the British consulate over here. This is actually an attack that once again happened in real life. I'm not quite sure if they were actually able to set fire to it as they are going to do during this mission, but there was an attack on the British consulate around this time that was actually repelled by the British forces. So So, you know, spoiler alert, even though this will end in victory for us, it's, I guess, debatable if that actually happened, like, in, you know, actual history. So now we're just quickly making our way over here. We need the key that this lovely gentleman with the dual axes has. Can you please stop dodging? Thank you. I keep went really far back, which I don't like because we're getting farther and further away from the gate and more into range of the minigunners and other shooters over here. And it's like, hey. But that's just something the way that this game can go, because once again, the fights in this game are really agile in a way. They can go every which way, basically, and you know, you can try. Oh, hello! Can you stop shooting me in the back, please? Thank you. You can try and coerce enemies to go in a certain direction, but you know, then you lose even more time. So you're just gonna have to learn to go with the flow over here. But yeah, we're just running to the end here. I will activate the flag over here just to get a little bit of a recovery here, because we're not looking too great on health at the moment. Also have to remember to reload my revolver, because for some reason it always unloads it. And there is Rutherford Alcock, which was the first British general consul, I think, in Japan, who actually helped, you know, repel the Ronin during this attack. So he was not only a talker, he was also a fighter. Now, I don't know if he really used poison daggers in history. Debatable what he does here, which actually hurt quite a bit. And, oh yeah, our Blatant is also here, so she is now helping the British against the Shogunate, as it were.
Did you say British?
I did say British.
That's fine, I'm Scottish, I don't have to worry. Yeah, I'm Scottish, I don't have to worry about it. I'm on your side. Alright, that's her nearly done. Now, the thing is, you don't want to really fight the Blade Twin with your protagonist, simply because they have a special animation when you do a critical strike against them, which takes longer, and I'm not sure if it deals less damage or not, but it just, you know, takes longer, so you don't really want to see that. Which is why you mostly want to switch to a different character when you're fighting them. But yeah, we were able to burn down the British consulate here. That's, I guess, a win for us. And coming off this victory, of course, our friends want to do like a banquet, you know, to celebrate it. However, Ryoma is starting to be really conflicted about how violent everybody has become in, you know, pursuit of their goals. So he's starting to have like second doubts about Genzui and the other anti-shogunate forces. So he's really reluctant to go to this banquet in order to celebrate. However, you know, we still convince him to go to, you know, at least have a talk with the others about what they're going to do next. So we are now going to the Pleasure District again and join the banquet with all the others, which we will actually meet a very suspicious-looking guy. Let's see if you guys are able to point him out when we see him. But for now, we're just making our way through here while we make our next plans. And like I said before, there are actually quite a few different weapon types in the game. Like, you even have like a lot of Western weapon styles, like, you know, like a greatsword, not an odachi, like an actual greatsword, but also like a bayonet, which is like a mixture fighting style-wise between like a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, which I actually did quite enjoy playing this game casually. However, in the speedrun, we're mostly sticking to odachis and katanas because we're mostly fighting also like you know, Japanese enemies. We tend to use katanas, so we get a lot of upgrades going katanas, where we don't get a lot of upgrades from the Western weapons. You see this guy right here in the, you know, pretty garish-looking kimono, and keep that guy in mind for now. But yeah, Kogoro is his usual drunk self again, just basically not necessarily molesting that guy, but being a bit of a nuisance. So we'll just go ahead and sending him back to the banquet right here. And
the next step that Genzui is trying to pursue is to assassinate like a really high-ranking shogunate official going by the name of Kaishu Katsu, which was basically one of the right hands of the currently reigning shogun. So really, you know, high target there. And Ryoma agrees to it, but again, pretty reluctantly. And once again, we are going to accompany him because once more, we have lost the trail of the Demon Claw Samurai. She was able to escape us again after that last fight. So once again, we're just looking for clues on where she could be next, and that is where we're going to go ahead and accompany him. Now we're making a little bit of a trek through Edo here. We are going to go ahead and pick up one very important fast travel option for a little bit later in the run that we can activate right here. And then we're going to make our way over to the Kama River, where the shogunate is actually going to go ahead and celebrate. Actually, I forgot what it was that they're celebrating. I was celebrating something, which are celebrations that Kaishu Katsu will be part of. And then we're going to have all these boats along the river, and that is where you think that, you know what, they're going to have all these celebrations with fireworks and whatnot. It's probably a good time to try for an assassination coup, because people will be looking for other things than assassins with all the fireworks going on. So that was the fast travel option that I said that we're going to pick up, and then we're going to grab this and just go ahead and fly over the river. Have a little bit of a look at Edo over here. Nasogung City. And over there is Genzui already waiting for us so we can start the next mission. Now a little bit of history clashing with the game's story once again, because this is set in 1863. However, it is actually confirmed, historical fact that Ryoma himself, with no further allies, tried to assassinate Kaishu Katsu, but in 1862. So technically the game is like 1 year late on that attempt, but I guess it fit better with their storytelling at this point. But this is actually, I mean, it doesn't necessarily happen like portrayed here, where he was swinging with a with a rope between all these lanterns on a river. But he did try to assassinate Katsu in 1862. We're just gonna make our way through this as quickly as we can. Once again, not fighting any of these guys. We just want to get to Kaishu at the biggest boat. And he's actually quite the formidable opponent. Like, he's a very unique fighting style that you don't see anybody else in the game deploy, if I'm not mistaken. So it can take quite a bit to, get acquainted with his fighting style. Alright, we're there. And we're actually gonna start with trying to go for a couple headshots just to get his health down a little bit more, while Ryoma is going for a melee attack. Okay, I think that's enough. Oh. As you can see, he hurts as well. Ah. Didn't think it would go for me there, I have to admit. One thing that I'm starting to know is that the enemies are very agile today. Normally they don't jump around as much. Just trying to deplete the last of his health here with a couple shots, but it's just blocking them. Ah, come on. Fight is in. Of course, he was just one hit away from the fight ending. I know he was actually able to overpower us at this point, and again, this is a thing that actually happened in history, where Ryoma's assassination attempt on Kaishu was foiled by him. But Kaishu was also able to convince Ryoma to basically switch sides, and he actually became Kaishu's protege at this point. Because Kaishu also saw that the shogunate is starting to be very weak, so it has to westernize and modernize itself in order to still be relevant in this time and age. We actually have to wait a little bit here for the fast travel option to his villa to show up, like there, so we don't have to walk over there. We can just immediately go ahead and warp. So yeah, basically now we have technically switched sides. We are not anti-shogunate anymore. We are now pro-shogunate, and Kaishu immediately makes use of us by sending us on quite the laundry list of errands that we have to go and run. Among them is, trying to recruit more people into the shogunate forces, finding leaders for them to train them, but also helping out with like the medicine and research across the country, because again, cholera is like a very big problem for the Japanese at this point, and they're trying to find a cure for it. But while we're just running around the countryside, argick, if you want to read us something.
Hello, that's me. Yes, we have just been raided by the English restream from RTA in Japan. So welcome, friends. Welcome to BSG. We are running Rise of the Ronin with Aeshmah right now. And we're just literally about to take off on a €10 donation train. So if you are willing and able to, please join us on the donation train. As we get started here, we have a €10 donation from Pendle Stevens that says, I'd like more Celeste. I like more Celeste in music as well. Wait, was that Celestia? Might have been Celestia, but the music in Celeste is phenomenal as well. And of course, putting that €10 towards our incentive for Celeste, upgrading the all red berries run to the all full clears. We also have €10 from Huds601 that goes choo choo. We have a €10 donation from me that says, putting my money where my mouth is and joining the €10 donation train for Aeshmah's history lesson. Will this be on the test? I hope not, but we'll see. And then finally, one more right now. We have €15 from Rico that says, I have been summoned. I heard we need the manpower for the greatest thing we can do for our home country. Unlock the bonus run. And that is very true as well. We have a bonus run. We're kind of doing a double whammy right now. We want to do a €10 donation drain here, not only to unlock the Celeste run that is currently now at, I believe, let me just do a quick update, €290 out of the 500, but we're also aiming for €5,500 for the bonus run of Lilac Wars, aka Star Fox 64, later today as well. So if you were all inclined, please do give generously. It is all benefiting Mind. Absolutely fantastic charity. And yeah, back to you, Aeshmah.
Now we are like close to Edo Castle. We're doing a little bit of an military assignment, but everybody's using live ammunition, so this is going just absolutely great. This is where Jules Brunet is training the shogunate forces in like Western military tactics. However, again, we are in 1863. Jules Brunet didn't actually enter Japan until 1866, so it's a little bit, anachronistic once again at this point. But here he is. We're fighting him again. We are a little bit stronger. He still does the same attacks as before, so this should be an easier fight than it was before. Hopefully. Poisoned him, that is good. Did miss the critical hit though. Yeah. And I got hit by his martial arts. The reason why he is a little bit easier this time around than last time is now we now have a stance that is actually positive against his, so we're dealing a little bit more damage with every strike that we do, making the fight go by a little bit quicker. And of course we also have Ryoma with us, so just having like a second character around makes all the fights like way easier, because you can just switch the character if one of yours is just getting bullied, and you can get out pretty quickly and just start attacking their back there. But yeah, we now have convinced that yes, the Japanese forces are worthy to be trained by Jules, because we were able to defeat him. So that is one of Kaishu's tasks, so to speak, done at this point. The couple others that we have to do, the next one will be we need proper leaders, basically, for the army, like people who can actually go ahead and train them now, that the army has been set in place. And for that, we will go to one of the dojos in the city. And there's actually a little bit of a history going on at that dojo, because that was actually the dojo that Ryoma trained at before he came to Yokohama at the start of the game. He was sent by his clan to Edo for further education, so to speak, and he chose to train at this dojo. And he actually got engaged to the daughter of the dojo leader. But that engagement has never been consumed, and Sana, the woman over there, is basically just waiting for Ryoma to come back so they can finally get married. However, he seems to be a little bit reluctant to do so. So we'll see what that is all about. As you can see, he really does not want to go in there. You really have to convince him to go back inside. And this is actually where we will meet up with Sana, and well, through his diplomacy, so to speak, he gets us to fight her. Because, you know, she wants him to finally marry her. And he's like, oh, no, I can't. And she's like, okay, then fight me. And if you win, you don't have to marry me. And if I win, you have to marry me right now. So it's like, oh, no, I will always go easy on you. I can't do that. Let this guy fight instead. I was like, okay, if we have to, then I guess we have to beat up this woman. So we will do that. Sana has a couple interesting moves, let's call it that. I always think like she's a bit of a flying squirrel. She's being very ground-bound at the moment though. Oh my god. There we go. It's like, I don't think that is a move that like just anybody can pull off. At least I don't think I've really seen that in real life. It would be kind of amazing though. Oh no, I overextended a little bit there. You're just giving me really weird attack patterns today. Like, I was only really able to get this one critical hit out of her. Okay, I'm getting to the end of this fight though. Oh, okay. Still worked out. Okay. Well, now that we've defeated her, she basically runs away in shame, and we tell you, well, you know what? Go after her. See what that is all about while we go on ahead and have our next duel with the guy that we actually came here for. Because we want him to train the Shogunate forces as well. It's Hachiro. Now Hachiro is just a beast of a man. Like, he's swinging that Odachi like it's absolutely nothing, and a little bit later in the fight he will actually use a second one at the same time. I'm always a little bit too early with my counter sparks for that particular attack there. Yeah, now he has a second Odachi out. And those things, like, are heavy, let me tell you. So him just swinging that around like it's basically nothing is quite the feat of strength. But also keep him in mind, because he will be very important to the story actually a little bit later. Even though, you know, he was very only shortly on screen here. But yeah, now that we have, you know, recruited him to our cause, the next thing we'll actually do is we'll take another optional fight. Because what you can do in this game, you can basically go to a lot of dojos where you can have duels against some of the characters that you've met. And it's just very convenient that this dojo is like basically right around the corner here, that we can do a little bit of training, because you also gain a couple of rewards if you do well during those refights, basically. And we want to fight Ryoma again. Because if we manage to do well enough during this fight, we will actually upgrade the stance that he gives us. And we do want to upgrade that stance to make the attacks that come with the stance even more powerful. Because we'll make heavy use of his stance a little bit later in the game. I mean, we've already made use of them, but it will become more and more important when we actually get the move that Ryoma was using so far ourselves. That's too early. Now you're being graded on your offense, but also on your defense and how long it took to, you know, finish the fight. So we don't want to do too badly here. Alright, he's nearly down. There we go. I think that should still be fine enough. But we'll see in just a moment. So I think we need about like 7,800 points or something. Oh, 7,000 just okay. It was just good enough, I guess. Which, you know, is good enough for us. It doesn't really matter. We got the master rank, which means we got the upgrade that we wanted. Another thing that we now have to do is, that Kaishu told us to do, is we need to go and talk to the fire brigade. Because, you know, they have a lot of young blood in them. They are constantly recruiting more people to their side, and we want to go ahead and make use of that and try and see if some of them would actually like to join the army to bolster our ranks. As it turns out, though, they are currently having a couple of problems with some arsonists running wild in one of the temples that they will want us to first take care of, which we'll gladly do, obviously, because what other choice do we actually have? And also, I really just like this transition from, you know, using the glider to go across the rooftops there, just onto the horse, like, immediately, and just keep riding across the streets. It's, you know, it's the little things, but it just makes it, like, flow so well. It's just, I like doing it. But yeah, we'll have another quick look at our equipment here. We should have gotten a better revolver. We have. That is very good. And then we're going to grab a bunch of upgrades right here. So health. I get more medicinal pills. And more. And we'll also go ahead and grab this. Yes. And then we have to defeat 4 of the arsonists right here. We will go about this in a very particular order to make this go as fast as possible. But since we're just going to go ahead and assassinate a couple of people, Argick, if you want to go ahead and chime in for a bit here while we hunt down these arsonists.
Absolutely. We'll hunt down these arsonists with the train that we still have going on here. We have the 15 euros from Pika Flu that says, I'm a simple gamer. Argon BSG, so I have to donate. Thank you very much for that. We also have 30 euros from Big the Dave that says, why do they call it Ronin when you roan in the cold steel and rawn out the blood of your enemies? Aeshmah, any answers?
No.
Yep, that's
a good point, actually.
It is a good point.
Have to concede that one.
Bringing back the old memes, but it checks out. And one of the new memes coming in, we have a 10 euro donation from John Locomotive. Just simply says, choo choo. And then finally in this bundle, we have 15 euros from Blaster Mac that says, I like trains that help people suffer in their games by making the obvious right choice in the music department and getting those full clears. Putting 10 of those to the full clear and then 5 to the US music. Haha. He sits face spamming on the desk over at the tech there. This is why you don't put us both on together. This is what happens. But yes, we do have John. We have John Locomotive there coming in. But yeah, also a really important thing. It happened just a little while ago before the train started. But we have smashed a milestone. We beat BSG Annual 2021. And we still have a day and a half left to go. Please do keep your donations coming in. It's been wonderful, just like this run.
So the thing with these arsonists is if you have to, you know, fight them head on, they are quite the tanky bunch. So you really want to try and assassinate all of them because, you know, it's a one hit kill against them. So we want to do like a particular setups in order to be able to surprise them and get that assassination going. We killed all 4 of them. And we are now on our way into the temple over here to, you know, tell our quest giver, job well done. But he's like, no. You might have killed the arsonists, but you still have to convince me to, you know, help you with whatever you're doing. So we now have to go ahead and fight him. Because apparently that's just what you have to do in Japan. Oh, I still had the gun equipped. And he's actually quite the tanky boy with his big hammer that he keeps swinging around like it's absolutely nothing. But more importantly, he also gets some ads once he reaches like his half health. That can like interfere in your attacks, but that was actually quite a good fight, so I'm pretty happy with that. Excuse me. Okay, now with all of that done, what's left to do is to go to the medical school and you know, help the doctors with whatever is plaguing them there at the moment, because they seem to be having problems with some bandits at the moment. disrupting basically their research into cholera. Horse? There you are. Okay. Now, at the medical school, we will meet Ine Kusumoto, who was actually the first doctor learned in Western medicine in Japan. And ever since, she has basically become like a very prominent figure in all forms of, fiction, be it novels, plays, comics, musicals, whatever it is. So she is a very, not only important, but also very popular figure, in Japan. And that is her. And she's basically telling us, yeah, she has been trying to find a cure for cholera, but she was only able to really develop poisons that the insurgents are trying to get a hold of. So she kindly requests our help in, not having that fall into the hands of the anti-shogunate forces. So yeah, we will try and get these people out of her laboratory here. Like that guy. Oh, no, that was from a position. So once again, headshots are basically instant kills against enemies, unless they have a helmet like this guy. Or I just missed the headshot. Also, is not great. And where is the rest of them? Oh, why that guy didn't die immediately, I don't know, but I guess the time for shooting is over. Gonna have to go ahead and assassinate them. We're going up. There's like 8 enemies, as you can see. You have to go ahead and kill all of them in order to be able to continue. Now, obviously, the more you can assassinate before it comes to fisticuffs here, the faster and better this is. But sometimes they just start in different spots and can be a little bit tricky to actually get them. What you can also do is you can use all of these poison jars that are scattered around the battlefield here to, well, poison the enemies, but you also have to be a little bit careful because you can also get poisoned, which will drain your health really fast. I also do want to use this banner here to restock our rifle ammunition so we can keep shooting the next wave of enemies if they ever decide to show up. Waiting for those two to jump over. There should be one more coming. It's just standing there and we can shoot him. Oh god. Monitor is actually pretty dark, so it's a little bit hard to see some of these guys sometimes. You can wait over there. Oh. There you go. Okay, now we're out of ammo. There's still a couple of guys left, but they shouldn't be too much of an issue. But as you can see, this move is just, it's quite overpowered, to be quite honest with you. Like, it's definitely the one that you will see the most being used against a lot of boss fights, even if you don't have like a positive stance against the bosses, simply because it's just so good. Now we can completely ignore these guys and go straight for the boss fight over here. And get used to these two idiots, because we will actually fight them quite often during the rest of the game. Like, the game really just likes to throw these guys in your face whenever it can. Which, I mean, I guess it has a good reason, because they were very prominent figures in Japanese history. This is Hirobomi Ito and... I forgot the name of the other, Yamagata Aritomo Yamagata, sorry. Who were actually not only instrumental in the during the Boshin War, but also in the Meiji Restoration. Like, Hirobomi was actually the first prime minister of Japan once, you know, all the fights here had ended and the shogunate has been abolished at the end of it. And, you know, basically the Meiji Restoration and democracy, I want to say, began in Japan. But they are quite formidable opponents here, especially Aritomo. He can just completely run you around in circles. He didn't do it this time, which I'm very thankful for, because he can really drag out the fights if you let him. But yeah, now that we have repelled those, Enid basically tells us, hey, thank you for the help, but my master, the proper doctor at this point, has been taken captive and brought to the nearest prison, and she wants him back. So we will have to do another prison break. And Ryoma has just the plan for that, I guess. But while we do that, argick, if you want to quickly jump in with a donation.
It wasn't me, I didn't do it. No, wait, no, really, it wasn't. Instead, we have a €5 donation from CBK that says, for the bonus game. That is, of course, referring to our €5,500 milestone. And Huds will be happy that she did put it to Japanese. Yeah. And then for the bonus game is leaking out right now. We have a €3 donation from General Pepper. That says, it's about time you showed up, Fox. You're the only hope for our world. But not yet, we've still got to hit it, so will General Pepper get the assistance that he needs? We'll find out. And just a quick reminder as well, don't forget, we are coming up onto approximately the final hour of this run. We've got about an hour and 20 minutes left on it, maybe more with Aeshmah speeding through this. You do get to decide the ending of the game. Will we be sparing the final boss, or will we be killing them? Right now, Kill is in the lead with €20, but that can be changed. Will we be merciful? That is in your hands, everybody.
I mean, we're just merciful to these guys because, you know, as I just said, the doctor is in the prison, and Ryoma's grand plan is, hey, if he's in prison, how about we go into prison as well by beating up some officials outside of it? So that is what we did. I mean, what's the fastest way to go into prison, right? Just get in prison yourself. No matter getting out of it, that is completely different. But yeah, we will make our presence known here by beating up the ruffians because we are the new top dog. Literally, because we still don't know where the doctor is being held, and these guys probably know, so we're just gonna go ahead and a bit of fisticuffs here. They're pretty much pushovers, though. I don't know how the other guys are able to get beat up by them, but here we are. Another thing that I don't quite understand, if I'm honest with you, is why they would let us keep our weapons if we are being imprisoned, but here we are, I guess. Like, we're fully equipped with everything we brought before. So we'll just go ahead and quickly make our way through this. Our first order is to, once again, grab a key so we are able to get into the inner workings of the prison. Oh, hello. So we'll just quickly make our way around here to the official. And we're getting the key. So here is the doctor that we're looking for, and of course we have to do a boss fight before that. Against this guy, and I'm not 100% sure, but if I have my notes correctly, this should also be the guy that beheaded Yoshisaku Shoin a little bit earlier, you know, the guy that we're looking for in the first act, because, you know, he's like the prison master over here, so it came to him to you know, do the deed back then. So we got a little bit of revenge, I guess, for that. But yeah, we've freed the doctor. He can now resume his research of cholera, and with that we have basically resolved all the tasks that Kaishu set us out to do. Now, well, there's one thing left to do, and that is to go back to the medical school and actually tell Enid that, hey, yeah, we were able to do all that. Narasaki should be back pretty quickly. Another fun fact is, you saw it here, Ryo Narasaki, she is the daughter of the doctor we just freed, and Ryoma is starting to have a little bit of a thing for her. Now keep in mind, you know, he was supposed to be betrothed to Sana from the dojo a little bit earlier, but he will actually end up marrying Ryo a little bit later in history, I think like next year or in the year after that. Which is a little bit of a tragic thing for Sana, because historically he gifted her, I think, part of his kimono, like a sleeve or something, which she took as like a marriage gift. So she's actually under the impression that she is married to Ryoma when he actually doesn't really have an interest in her. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a tragic thing going on here. Right. Now that we have told Katsu that, hey, yeah, we took care of all of your things, he's like, oh yeah, you know, they've built up this military academy that you can have a look at if you want to. And we're like, you know what? Why not? Let's see actually what our actions have set in motion here with, you know, recruiting all these people, finding trainers for them, helping with the medical problems that they've had, etc., etc. We're going to go ahead and pay a visit to the military academy. They will also have a tournament there in order, you know, to test their abilities with, you know, the Western and Eastern forces there that we will take part in. And apparently the Shogun is watching over this. Now, they say that Yoshinobu Tokugawa is the Shogun at this point, which is actually not the case. Now, in the game, it is, but historically speaking, Yoshinobu was not shogun until 1866, which from here on out is only in like 3 years' time, roughly speaking. So they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves here. But yeah, this is a military academy. As you can see, you know, they have all kinds of different areas put off, like horse riding, shooting, but of course also fencing, as Kaishu will point out to us very prominently. This is like one of the only quests where we actually have to wait for Kaishu to, you know, walk around and finish his little tour here before we can go on. Thankfully, it's not that long, and as soon as Ryoma is greeting us over there, we can actually just, you know, abandon him and run towards Ryoma, because he has actually gone ahead and already put our name forth for the tournament. Because he thought that, yeah, I think he would like that, and I was like, yeah, well, thanks. Guess we have to do it now. Before we do that, though, we buy another couple buff items here, because we're starting to run a little bit low on them. Because, you know, it's a tournament. We will have a couple fights back to back, so let's get through it. Taisho is actually quite the formidable opponent because he has a lot of long attack strings. So it can be quite tricky to counter-spark all of the hits when he starts getting at you. Now, because this is a tournament, they're just using, you know, the wooden swords. This is not actual weaponry. But those things still hurt. Like, if you could really get a good hit with one of these, like, oh, you feel it. Oh, come on, dude. There we go. Like, his health bar wasn't even really visible anymore at this point. Okay, that is 1 win for us. 3 more to go. Oh, well, technically 2 more, but we'll see about that. I also forgot to do one thing, which I quickly have to remedy here, because we need more poison whetstones as well. Okay. Needed 11, that's good. Off to the next fight. Oh, that was way too early. But you can kind of already see the gimmick of this guy. He's just, you know, using his spear to vault around the battlefield. A couple hits in before we go for the critical hit. Like, he has a couple of variations of some of his attacks, so you have to be really careful about what he's doing. And especially that side dodge that he does just covers a lot of ground, so you can get out of your range pretty easily and pretty quickly. Now the next guy coming up, he can be a little bit problematic, or at least I tend to have quite a few problems with him, because he's actually a hand-to-hand fighter, and he is the originator of... I forget what the style is called. It's not ninjutsu, it's not a kung fu, it's... damn, what's it called? Like, it has a lot of throws and everything. Somebody remembers, let me know. Because I can't remember it right now. I'm sorry. I have to put it in my notes as well. But yeah, he's a little squirrel right there. Like, he's just completely dancing around you all the time. Really hard to pin him down. And he very easily just robs you of ki with his attacks. So you have to be really mindful of your ki at all times. Ah, come on! Okay, there we go. Actually, it was a pretty good fight. I'm quite happy with that one. Because he can just really, like, run around you, like, a lot, making you waste a lot of time in trying to finish this fight. Alright, one more fight to go, and this is like, they don't tell you who you're fighting, but maybe you guys will be able to recognize him. And he also requests a fight with actual weapons, so we are ditching, you know, the wooden ones. Making our way forward to... oh, right. We don't have the revolver equipped. There we go. Did anybody recognize him? No? He's the one that also was at the banquet after we had burned down the British consulate. And as it turns out, he is actually Yoshinobu Tokugawa, apparently the reigning shogun at the moment. So we just beat up the shogun. Great! Woo! But yeah, as I said, like, he isn't actually supposed to be shogun until 1866, so the game was getting a little bit ahead of himself here. But he basically... you know, wanted to test us because he knew that we were in cahoots, at least formally, with the anti-shogunate forces. So he was very curious to see how we would be able to measure up in a fight against him. And he was very impressed by us being able to beat him at the moment. So yeah, he basically, you know, took stock of us, if you will. At this point in time, the shogun is also now considering of relocating over to Kyoto, or at least visiting Kyoto. Now, keep in mind, the shogun is at the moment like the head of state, right? Because of the military rule of Japan. And he's located in Edo. Now, the imperial family, who, you know, by all rights and purposes should be ruling Japan, but is not. They are all in house arrest in their palace in Kyoto. Now, wait, wasn't that Katsu's? Oh, I guess I forgot to talk to him. Got a little bit ahead of myself there. So by going over to Kyoto, he is hoping that he is able to draw out a lot of the opposition that is currently hiding. And Kaishu is a little bit worried about that because, you know, if you are on the move from one place to another, you're of course open to attacks pretty easily. So they are now founding the Roshigumi, which is like basically like a vanguard force that they are sending to Kyoto first to make sure that, you know, the city is basically pacified before the shogun actually arrives in Kyoto and doesn't, you know, basically set everybody on edge there. And they are open to everybody, so everybody can join the Roshigumi. It doesn't matter if you are a samurai or not, like, but everybody is welcome there to, you know, they want to draw out all the opposition in secret. So Kaishu is a little bit worried about that, and he sends us and Ryoma to also go ahead and try and join the Roshigumi, so he actually has some ears on the inside and knows what's actually going in there. Now, as it turns out, one of the people that we recruited a little bit earlier in the dojo is the head of the Roshigumi, and he's doing all of the recruiting there. And he's at first a little bit reluctant to let us in, stating that they've already had so many recruits they can't take on any others. But what will happen is actually that there's a fight going to break out between the Roshigumi because of some unruly samurai. And I was like, you know what, we're going to go ahead and pacify those samurai for you, but if we do so, you must let us into the Roshigumi. Yeah, Hachiro, that's his name. He is the head of the Roshigumi at the moment, and forming those. I will just quickly make our way to the middle of this area. We just have to go to the temple. It's a little bit faster to go around the right instead of the left. So that is what we do here, and then we'll just buff up again. And we'll see how this fight goes here. Good start, actually. Able to drench them and also put them on fire. Okay, that was pretty quickly. Ah. Someone would say I forgot to bring Ryoma. That should be fine. Because we have Teshu, he is basically the same attack as Ryoma as well, so we should be able to get through this pretty quickly. But yeah, you can kind of see just how overpowered this attack is. You can just completely go through an enemy's attack if you have the health to do it, which of course you wouldn't have on higher difficulties. But because we are playing on Dawn difficulty, it's like we can tank a lot of hits with that and just, continuously try and hack through the key of our enemies in order to make them stagger and go for the critical hit. Okay, now that we are part of the Roshigumi, it is now time to leave Edo behind and go to our third destination. We were in Yokohama first, then we were in Edo here, so it's time for our trip to Kyoto. And if you know anything about Kyoto during this time, it definitely was a city of turmoil, or at least it will be once we actually go ahead and arrive there. But before we're actually able to get into Kyoto, we have to go through a checkpoint. We're running into a little bit of a pickle here because the checkpoint has been overrun by bandits that we have to, get out of the checkpoint first. As it so happens, though, the anti-shogunate forces are also here, and they also have to pass this checkpoint. And, we're trying to form this very uneasy alliance between the pro and anti-shogunate forces here in order to get rid of these bandits. Did crap? Yeah, I did crap them. So we're trying to, broker this temporary alliance at this point, at least until we got rid of all of the bandits. And basically, Ryoma's goal is for both sides to see that, they're technically all fighting for the same thing, just through different means. And basically trying to see the humanity on the other side, if you will. Because basically, we are fighting alongside mortal enemies at the moment. But yeah, once again, we're just making our way quickly through this checkpoint and past all these bandits because we are only interested in the boss. Like, literally. Ah, come on, dude. Like, that guy with the spear, he's just really locking onto you whenever you try and pass him there. Like, sometimes he can give you a little bit of a damage boost, pushing you in the right direction, but most of the time he just pushes you to the side into this palisade, and it's like, ah, God, why? Sure that I have the gun equipped. Oh god. Okay, still made it. We're gonna headshot the 2 goons that are accompanying him. Okay, very good. That's not what I wanted. Yep, it's not what I wanted. And then we're just gonna try and get rid of this guy as quickly as you can, because he will get reinforcements, so to speak, by a second boss that will join him in just a moment. I think it's already here. Yeah, I can hear him. Ah. Okay, both Ryoma and our protagonist died. That's not so great. But luckily you can just give them a bit of medicine and they are good to go again. It's just a bit sad that Ryoma was the one to die, because we can kinda use him here. Yeah, we're just trying to get through this fight as quickly as we can at this point. Booyah. Okay, there we go. Alright, and with those guys out of the way, we are finally able to make our way to Kyoto properly, where it actually turns out that Hachiro, the leader of the Roshigumu, was a liar. He was forming the Roshigumi not to protect the shogun in Kyoto, but basically to gather loyalists and overthrow the shogunate. So basically, as soon as we actually arrive in in Kyoto, the Roshigumi get disbanded and get sent back home again, much to the dismay of some of its members. Also, Hachiro actually got assassinated during this as well. So they are now thinking about, okay, what are we actually going to do? Like, are we actually going back to Edo? Are we staying in Kyoto? Who are we joining? If you know this area, if you know this part of history, you know what's coming up probably, because we will be joining the pro-shogunate forces at this point, and they will go ahead and form the Shinsengumi, which some of you might have known. So yeah, under Isami Kondo, there's going to be a new kind of military police group being formed, and if you've watched like any kind of samurai anime, you probably have heard of them. Like especially if you've watched, for example, like Rurouni Kenshin, that I have, I'm a big fan of. So I was very much excited, to get to know them, because I've also played, Yakuza Ishin, or Like a Dragon Ishin, excuse me. Which, centers all around what the Shinsengumi were doing. And actually, the first mission that we're doing with the Shinsengumi here is that we will be doing the Ikeda incident, which was like a pivotal part in the Shinsengumi history. But first of all, we will change our equipment. I forgot anything, but yeah, we should have this. Upgrades here and there. We will also grab a couple other skills. This. And this. Okay. I will also grab this one, and then level up this one. Now, the reason we don't bring Soji is there will be another cutscene that we can skip if he isn't in our party. That is basically why we will leave him behind. So yeah, well, we are already now part of the Shinsengumi. This is already like a year after the Shinsengumi has actually been formed. So we're skipping ahead in time a little bit here. And we just got tipped off that about 40 of the anti-shogunate forces are holding up in this inn right here. So we are raiding this in order to, get them out there. Waiting for this door to open. Ah, only got one headshot. Sad. You can actually double headshot these guys, which is pretty funny if you can. But yeah, our old friend Kogoro Katsura is supposed to be here, so that will be quite interesting when we meet him again. Because again, we haven't basically seen him since that incident at the outpost like a year ago, even though it was just the last mission. Okay, he's taken care of. It's gonna get rid of these guys. So yeah, we would get another I say cutscene, but like an event with Soji if he was in our party here, which takes quite a while to get through, and that is basically why we don't bring him. And for now, we're making our way to the top floor of the inn and to the next boss fight. Are we getting hidden? Yeah, I knew he was gonna do that. And then we're just gonna go ahead and hack away again. And also, yeah, did I say that we have flamethrowers during this time period, apparently? Because Taser is having one. Or Taizo, excuse me. Oh! Come on. There we go. That was better. Alright, one taken care of, and then Katsura. Like, he's very disappointed in us that we actually joined the pro-shogunate forces at this point. And boom. Okay. Taking care of them. But yeah, the Shinsengumi is not only the only group that got formed after the Roshigumi got disbanded, because the people that actually went back to Edo, they started forming the Senchogumi, which is basically the Edo, the same thing as the Shinsengumi, but in Edo instead of Kyoto. Which Koto Nawazawa, which joined us just before we left for Kyoto with the Roshigumi, had joined us. But yeah, with the Ikeda incident resolved, it is now time to go on to the next big event, which is gonna be the Forbidden Gate Rebellion. Because with everything that is happening, like the anti-shogunate forces, like kinda see their moment approaching where they could attack the shogunate in order to topple it. Excuse me. But before we do that, we grab another couple skills. This one and this one. Because yeah, at this point, some of the Chi-Chi rebels sought to take control of the Emperor, you know, to finally restore him to imperial rule. And they thought they could do that by kidnapping him. And so they are trying to attack the Imperial Palace that is in Kyoto. However, you know, we are joined by the military of the Satsuma domain and the Aitsu domain to try and fight them back, which will actually be a very demanding defeat for them. Oh my god. Hirobumi, can you please? No. Like I said before, fighting these guys is always a bit of an issue. Because sometimes you just cannot... Oh god, yeah, there's completely interrupting whatever I'm trying to do here. You at least want to try and get rid of one of them as quickly as you possibly can. And even that can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Okay, got one down. Come on, he was out of key. Okay. That was too early. Come on. Stand still. Like, he's just running circles around me, and there's basically nothing you can do about it. Oh, there you go. Oh my god, that took a while. We'll actually go ahead and take this banner just to refill on health items and, well, health in general. Because we still have a couple more fights to go through. Like, this is one of those basically boss rushes where you have to fight like a lot of different enemies. Or bosses, I should say. You can kind of tell, you know, that this game has been made by Ninja Theory, who, if you've played Neo, you know these missions where you're basically just doing boss fights, one after the other. And this is kind of the same deal with that. Shinjo Naraoka was like a close friend of, or is going to be a close friend of Ryoma Sakamoto. Like, they are both from the Chosa domain. But, you know, fighting on different sides at the moment. Oh, okay. How we're doing on health? Should be fine. Should be fine. We can just continue through here. But yeah, as you can see, like, Kyoto is not doing too hot at the moment because the Satsuma domain had access to British cannons at this point that they deliberately used to fight back the rebels, but the rebels also started putting Kyoto on fire. It is actually unknown if this was deliberate or just because they saw they were losing and, you know, trying to do some damage at least. But during this big fire of Kyoto, like about 30,000 houses were burned down in Kyoto, excuse me, which, yeah, it's quite a lot. Quite a bit of damage being done during this rebellion. And we also have to fight Genzui again. So we'll see how this one goes. It's basically up to the same tricks, but like I said, like, dual blades are always a bit tricky to predict and counterspot because there are just so many hits, different attack patterns that they have. Like, it can be quite tricky to see which combo they're actually trying to go for. Can you please? Hello? Trying to revive over here. He's also leaving behind these flame trails whenever he does certain attacks, which will damage you quite a bit. So you really have to be careful where you're actually moving during the fight as well. Attack, please. Ah, come on, dude. He is really gunning for his screen time here. Okay. Done. But we're not quite done yet with this mission. There's one more thing we have to go through because, of course, we will be meeting our Blade Twin again. And this is actually where we learned that they were behind most of the ongoings here because, you know, of her, well, hate against the shogunate, so to speak. And, you know, she just really wants to see the shogunate go down, no matter the cost. So she has kind of lost a little bit of, you know, the greater things at stake here. Because she really doesn't care if Japan just gets engulfed in all-out war or not. She just wants them gone. And we don't quite see eye to eye with that reasoning. So we are back into fighting them. Actually, it was a pretty good fight, and that was also the end of the second act of the game. So we were able to fight back against the rebels, but Kyoto is not looking too great at the moment, and Ryoma is really starting to get more and more fed up with all the violence that is not only happening between the Japanese and the Westerners, but also just between the between the Japanese people in general. So he's like really just more and more trying to find a way to, you know, reconcile both sides in order to, you know, make a stronger Japan and move forwards. I'm already going through Tokyo here and taking, you know, assessment of the damage here. Argick, Why don't you read us something?
I will do indeed. Thank you very much, buddy. We have a €3 donation here from Falco Lombardi saying, I could use some help here, Fox. That is, of course, referring to our bonus game that we have. Bonus milestone at 5,500 euros there. We are almost at that one. Also, you're saying we're going into the third act now, yes? So we are getting close to the time where we're going to have to close the bid war that we have for Rise of Ronin here. For the finale, do we kill the final boss or do we spare? Right now, kill is in the lead. You can see it on the screen there at 20 euros with no one wanting to spare them. But you can change this. Can you change? Will you change the fate of the final boss? Do get your donations coming in and we'll read them out on stream and you too can change the history of this Ronin.
Yeah, we have about probably like 40 minutes, I want to say, left in the run at this point. So we'll probably finish around close to the estimate. So yeah, you still have a little bit of time to get your donations in. But don't wait too long because somebody else could already be out there to try and snipe this.
Oh, can you imagine a snipe war at the end of it? Ooh. Yeah, no, that is solidly underestimate there as well with 40 minutes. So do not delay. Get your donations in today. Don't make me rhyme or I'm going to need more time.
I mean, you know it's right because it rhymes, right?
Pretty much is not how it works.
Exactly.
But this has been a phenomenal run. Like, I've been enjoying this a lot. And you're making me actually just remember, you know the series, Ronin? Like, you're getting at the parts now and I'm going, wait a minute. So when you mentioned the cannons and that, I'm going, hold on a second. It's amazing just how many different interpretations we have of this period of history, you know?
It's also one of those things, like it is, I think, personally, like a scenario that has been completely underutilized, at least when it comes to gaming, because this is one of those time periods where, like, all of the characters that you meet, I think, are basically set up to be, like, a main character of a movie, a book, video games, whatever, because there's just so much happening in this time period. With just Japan in the state that it was with the 200-year shogunate rule and not the imperial accord, where they were basically, in a way, under martial law, which worked out in a way, don't get me wrong, but as soon as, the Western forces were trying to grab a hold of Japan, it just became apparent how weakened Japan had become during those 200 years of isolation and, no really major technological advancement or advancement in really anything. And the black ships arriving in 1853 just really, was a wake-up call for the people themselves that, yeah, we can't go on living like this, because if we do, we will just get completely crushed by the Western forces. And there's just so much going on that you can tell so many good stories with this.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe in the future we'll get more different stories than that, especially if games like that are successful. I know people in the chat have been going, I really got to look over this as well. And yeah, you look at it going, that's a pretty dang solid game.
It really is. Like, if you enjoyed the Neo games, it's from the same developers, so you kind of know what the gameplay will be like. And let's be real here, the real strong suit of Ninja Theory is in the gameplay. Like I said before, the story, like the whole history behind it is very, very interesting. I just don't think they did the best job of translating that into the game story, but that is, my personal take on that. The gameplay is absolutely solid, so if you just, out for that, give this game a go, because it initially launched as a PlayStation 5 exclusive game, but it has been ported to PC a little bit earlier this year. So, if you have like a PC, go ahead. It's on Steam. And probably also other storefronts. We do want to go ahead and try and, headshot the two ads here and then try to get a little bit of damage on the elite. Before we engage him immediately. We didn't quite able to do that, but it doesn't really matter. We can just go ahead and fight him normally in order to end this fight. But yeah, now that we have fought back the Choshu rebellion, the Choshu rebels, excuse me, during the rebellion a little bit earlier that we saw there, the Choshu clan or the Choshu domain is like really, on the back foot. They had lost a lot. But they are also one of the major antagonists to the shogunate. So, the shogun, or the pro-shogun forces are obviously celebrating. But there is another domain that is not really, aligned with the ideals of the shogun, and that is the Satsuma domain. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but the Satsuma were just the ones repelling the Choshu forces during this rebellion that we just saw. But yeah, they were ordered to. They didn't really want to, but they were ordered to by the shogun, and they didn't see any reason to, oppose them. But Ryoma is thinking, you know what? If you both are basically anti-shogunate, then why the hell don't you just team up and, you know, join forces and fight together against the shogunate? And that is basically what we're trying to do here by bringing Kogoro to where... hold on a second. No, I'm not doing anything here. Okay, to where Saigo Takamori is currently in this temple, and try and, you know, have them initiate a chat between the two domains and maybe join up forces. This is actually one of those levels that has quite a few shortcuts. Two major shortcuts in it. Because first of all, we want to try and get on the rooftop, of the building right in front of us. Because normally we would have to go up the stairs and then go all the way around. But we really don't have to do that if we just go up here. And then, go up here and then use our glider. Thank you. So we can, you know, just fly over this barricade down here. That was like the first shortcut. And then, oh, what was that? Something just completely pushed me to the side there. And then we'll see how long it takes me to get this particular jump. Because normally you have to go through all of these courtyards and all the way around up there. But what we can do instead is, I guess, fall down here. What is going on? Can you please... No, okay, I guess we are just going to do that. Because my character just completely did not want to do what I told him to. Yeah, that's great. Come on. It's not a biggie. I guess I don't at least show you me failing at the skip. It's like really not a big thing. It saves like maybe, I don't know, 30 to 40 seconds. We can just skip having to run around where I'm currently running around by just coming up from down here. You can kind of see it. You know, this platform is where you were, and you can just kind of grab these rooftop shingles here and pull yourself up so you don't actually have to go around there. But something was going on with the controls there. It was like really weird. I'm not quite sure what was happening there. Probably because I was still in combat or something. Which honestly I shouldn't have been, but yeah, sometimes it just is what it is. Oh god, this is so dark. I'm just gonna see if I can actually see where I'm going here. But yeah, obviously, before we are able to engage in talks, Saigo will see us, and, you know, he's not too pleased to see us because, you know, we are the enemy. He doesn't want anything to do with us, so of course challenge us to a fight. And he is a big lad. But once again, we're just trying to, you know, get him into a position where, can use our martial skill like to its fullest effect, because, you know, he's a big guy. He doesn't really block a lot, so we can just, you know, wail on him quite a bit. And, you know, because we now defeated him in a fight, Ryoma is able to talk sense into him and broker the Sacho alliance, which is, you know, the alliance between the Satsuma and the Choshu, excuse me, which they thus shortened to Sacho alliance. And they will be like the major opponents to the shogunate going forward. And trying to bring about, you know, the change that Japan needs to survive at this point, basically. In the meantime, what will happen here is there will be an assassination attempt on Ryoma that we then have to go ahead and find out, okay, like who did that, you know, who was trying to assassinate Ryoma, and why did that happen? Because, you know, Ryoma is really instrumental in everything that is happening right now between brokering the alliance between the Satsuma and the Choshu, but also just, you know, keeping the forces in check when it comes to the anti-shogunate one and the pro-shogunate one, because he basically wants peace between the forces. You know, he wants just all the Japanese people to work together towards a common goal, but there are just so many differences between all of them that it's just really hard to get everybody, you know, on the same page and working towards that goal. So people trying to assassinate him is obviously a big problem, because if he were to, you know, disappear or to die, like everything would probably just fall apart, and we can't have that. Now, the thing that I'm always a little bit, cocking my head at is this particular thing, because we think that the Shinsengumi tried to assassinate Ryoma. And if you think back just a little bit, we were part of the Shinsengumi with the Ikeda incident, and we were there for like at least a year or so. And now we're infiltrating the Shinsengumi again, and apparently nobody recognizes us. It's like, I mean, it's been a year or two in the timeline since then, but come on, guys, like, how short is your memory? Actually, yes, that's what I want. We're looking for the clear-headed samurai perk on the equipment that we're getting here, and we got it. Oh no. Okay, we got 2 pieces. I want 3 at least. Oh no, there's one. Okay, cool. We actually got 3. That's good. We want to grab more of the charge attack and the grappling rope reversal. And yeah, we're basically having a look around the Shinsengumi barracks here to try and see if we can find, whoever did try and assassinate Ryoma here. So first of all, we have to do some tryouts because we are technically a new recruit. So we have to beat up some people to prove our worth. Overdid it again. But who you also saw was not only Shinpachi Nagakura at the gate there, but also Hajime Saito, who you might remember, this guy there. Because he was also technically the main character of Like a Dragon Ishin, if you played that. Or if you've ever watched the Rurouni Kenshin anime, you will also probably know him quite well. And I have to admit, I was always, the whole time I was playing this game, I was like, when are we meeting them? When are we meeting them? When are we meeting them? And now it's finally time to do just that. But yeah, we defeated a couple of the tryouts, and now Shinpachi himself wants to have a go at us to, test our mettle. He actually buff up a bit and then beat him up. And this is just such a stark contrast, if you compare this to Like a Dragon Ishin again, where you also have like this fight against Shinpachi at one point as Saito, of course. So that would be a little bit earlier than here, but it's just such a stark contrast between those 2 duels in particular. Just the framing and everything, how it's been set up. But yeah, we really impressed Hajime here by being able to beat up Shinpachi, so he wants us to follow him a little bit deeper into the complex. And again, you have to keep in mind, I don't think Hajime was part of the Shinsengumi back when we are part of it, but Shinpachi definitely was, and so was Soji here, and neither of them really recognizes. I mean, you can kind of, once we start talking to Soji over here, see that he probably might recognize us. But, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit weird that none of them really seem to recognize us at this point. So it's like kind of implied that you were supposed to join the anti-shogunate forces near the end of the 2nd chapter to me. But yeah, now we have to go up against Hajime. Because he wants to personally test us and see what we're up to. Just have to lean a bit forward here because it's actually quite dark. Not in the room, but in the game room there. It's a bit hard to see what he's up to. Oh my god, yeah, okay, there we go. Wasn't able to get away from that. Well, I want to say that never happened before, but who knows? I think at the early stages of routing, this will probably happen at some point. He was actually quite a formidable opponent. Who has a lot of different attacks he can throw your way, and all of his combos basically have like a 2-second part to them, if that makes sense, where he will start, attacking you and then jump to the side and redirect the attack and start from there again. So you have to be mindful of that. Apart from his attack combos just being pretty long, so you have to deflect or counter spark quite a lot of attacks. And you also should know the attack that he just did, because it's basically the one that he was known for. Oh my god. There we go. Oh. I was a little bit too greedy there. Oh my god. Oh, this is going on forever. There we go. Oh my lord. He really gave me a run for my money right now. But yeah, now that we have also beaten and by effect impressed Hajime, he introduces us to a couple other of the Shinsengumi, and one in particular, which will be the one that we're going to go ahead and meet now, which will be Kashitaro Ito, who was what's the word? He wasn't necessarily part of the fighting, but more like of the strategy of the Shinsengumi. Like some kind of consultant, if you will. But he's also, a bit of a sly one. You want to put it like that. Because Hajime is, also already telling us that he wants us to overhear what he and Kashitaro will be talking about in just a moment here. We have to sneak back into the building, which is thankfully pretty easily. So historically speaking, Kashitaro and a fraction of the Shinsengumi at one point actually broke away from the Shinsengumi. Not necessarily betraying them, but they wanted to do something else. Because they were unsatisfied with the way that the Shinsengumi were doing things, or what their goals were. But the game is phrasing this a little bit differently, whereas they are portrayed as the traitors who are actually responsible for the assassination attempt on Ryoma, which is actually in actual history still up for debate. Like the Mimawari Gumi, different group but similar to the Shinsengumi. Eventually took responsibility for the assassination attempt, but even then, it's still unsure who actually, did the deed. Like the leaders of the Mimawari Gumi eventually had to take responsibility for it, but it's debatable if they actually did it or not. Whereas here, the game frames it so that Kashitaro and his formation inside the Shinsengumi were responsible for that assassination attempt. Because Hajime was also said to look out for Kashitaro on orders of Isami, who was the leader of the Shinsengumi. So Isami was also already knowing that Kashitaro can't really be trusted, so he had to keep an eye on him. So there's basically a lot of double crossing going on right here at the moment, and basically Hajime at this point recruits us in order to get rid of Kashitaro, because he already suspects us that we are not really trying to be part of the Shinsengumi, but that we are just wanting, or that we just want to join them in order to further our own goals, which is basically spot on if you think about it. Also, I forgot to bring Teshu actually. No, not cooperate. I want to bring Teshu. There we go. Okay. So, in true ninja manner, we are going up on the rooftops because we want to surprise that patrol over there. Gonna be all sneaky-like. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. And now for the boss fight. I didn't reload my gun. Okay. Whatever. So yeah, we're basically now taking care of all the quote-unquote Shinsengumi traders, like in one fell swoop while they were meeting up. That was one of them. Just gonna try and sneak in here, not alert everybody just yet. I'm gonna take out this guy. Okay, the guy up there actually didn't raise the alarm just yet, which is good. That means we can come up here. Let's quickly kill that guy. There's the next boss already here. We're kind of gonna try and get him over to this gate, because that is where we have to go through once the fight is over. Oh, I'm out of key. I was wondering why I couldn't block those attacks. This is also a little bit anachronistic again, because Miki Sabaru actually survives this, because he will join the Seki Hotai in a couple years. So that we kill him here, once again, not really historically accurate. But now we are basically home free to make our way over to Kashitara, because he's being framed as the mastermind behind the assassination on Ryoma. And this is actually one of the hardest fights in the game, in my opinion at least. Because Kashitaro is quite the formidable opponent, so you really want to take the time to actually get rid of the ads here first, before you try and engage with him. Because he has access to a wide array of status abilities, status ailments, excuse me. Like he can use poison, he can use electricity, he can also confuse you. Basically every status ailment that is present in the game he has access to. And he makes use of them, don't you worry. On top of that, he's also pretty fast. Ah, shit. That's not good. Okay. Let's just survive that somehow. Now, the worst thing you can do is basically do this, where you get hit by the confusion status. The confusion status, oh god. Oh my god, dude. Can you stop? Okay, we depleted his key at least once. Also running out of healing items, because everybody in the group is needing them. Just trying to corner him here. See if that helps. Helps a little bit, I guess. Yeah, okay. We made it through. Whew. And that fight is always a little bit stressful, because he can just, you know, once again, completely run circles around you. He can attack from afar. He can use basically every status ailment against you, and you're just slowly being whittled down in a war of attrition, which obviously is not that great. You don't want to have that happen to you. But yeah, at this point we have killed Koshichou, but again, you know, that's not actually how it went down in history. In history, like in a couple of years, Isami would invite him over tea, and they would have a bit of a discussion. On his way home, Kashitara would then be attacked by Shinsengumi forces and being cut down. So, I mean, I guess technically it's correct in the sense that we were part of the Shinsengumi and killed him, but he did not meet up with Isami, because at that point he is an Edo. So, you know, they took some liberty with this for sure. But yeah, at this point, you know, Ryoma has also married Ryo at this point, so he is now a married man, which is actually quite funny in the way that, you know, because of the assassination attempt, like he got wounded in it, and he and his wife were then going around Japan to different hot springs that apparently had healing properties to, you know, heal him up. And by many, that is considered to be Japan's first honeymoon, because it coincided also with their marriage. But yeah, at this point, like, Ryoma has finally, you know, written down his manifest, like, that he wants to get to the shogun. Like, okay, how can we actually get rid of the shogun amicably? How can we make him step down and reinstate the emperor in order to form a stronger Japan? So he wants to go to the castle, to the shogun, and give him that, and, you know, have him have to think about that. We will take Zamio. Then quickly use a couple things here. Give us a couple more skill points. Should also have a better katana that we got from Kashitaro there, and then we will quickly go ahead and grab this one. Yes. And this one. But as it turns out, the residence of the Shogun is currently under attack by the British. Now, how did that happen? And I can definitely tell you that this is completely made up. This didn't really happen. And it will be clear very shortly why that is once we get to the end of the mission here. Because if this is historically accurate, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. Because, oh my god. But yeah, we'll just quickly make our way through this. Thankfully, we don't have to go through all the buildings, of course. We just know where to go. Just make our way through this pretty fast. Also, keep in mind that Ernest Sato was like an interpreter, right? I'm just saying that because he's taking a bit of a more involved role because he's now cornered the Shogun over here, ready to execute him because he too thinks that the Shogun is just too weak, and it would be better if he himself would just take over and lead Japan into its future. And you will see what I mean by this not being really historically accurate once I actually face him. I mean, he has a gun, okay, that's fine. But this is where the Team Ninja energy just comes through, because I don't know if you saw that now, but he actually has rocket boots. Like, I mean, that dude is just literally flying around the stage at this point. I don't think we had rocket boots in, like, 1867, what this is right now. Unless Japan was way more advanced than we ever knew, and at this point you're just wondering, okay, why is any of this actually happening? But yeah, he's just flying circles around you, like all the way to the end of the arena over there.
We don't have rocket boots now. Where do I get a pair?
Right. But yeah, this is like really like the one major point where you're going, oh yeah, okay, like they took some liberties with history at this point, absolutely. But yeah, his ambitions were short-lived. He's now getting imprisoned because we don't want to rile up the British too much because of this. So he's just gonna be in prison for a little while here while we go on with history. And we are gonna go to another incident. An incident, if you will. Because we had the Ikeda incident a little bit earlier. Now we're gonna have the Omi incident in 1867. December 10 to be exact. And this is actually the day that Ryoma Sakamoto was assassinated for good this time. Like, he actually died during this, not only attempt, like it was a proper assassination, which of course was a huge blow to the, to all the allegiance and what was going on at the moment, and trying to, find peace between all the different forces, because he was like one of the major mediators between the pro and anti-shogunate forces, as we've already established before that. So like a major turning point in everything once again. But first of all, we're gonna make our way over to the Omi-in incident. Or to the Omi-in period. Yeah, that's fine. So we now see that the inn has been attacked. We're just making our way quickly to the top floor once again to try and find Ryoma. Now, interestingly enough, I mean, I already gave it away that Ryoma is going to die here. However, if you do... I don't quite remember what the trigger for it is. I think it's like some side quests. Oh my god, really, Hirobumi? Some side quests that you can do leading up to this, where Ryoma will actually survive this assassination attempt. And again, that is, of course, purely fictional. But it is there if you, are diligent in your side questing in the game. And once again, we are coming face to face with the Blade Twin, because of course she is the one that assassinated him. Who else would it be, honestly? So this is the third time, I think, that we're fighting here. Maybe the fourth? I actually keep losing count about it. Oh, Another interesting thing is about the Blader in particular, like every time you face her, she starts employing like different Western weapons. Like I think the first time around it was a saber, then it was a greatsword, and I think here she's having a bayonet, if I remember correctly. So you're really, fighting a different fight every time it happens, which is actually quite interesting, and it keeps things fresh for sure. But yeah, with Ryoma out of the picture, of course, every kind of discussion and conversation just goes sour at this point. However, also, the Shogun actually did abdicate, so he is not in the lead anymore. He actually rescinded control back to the Emperor. However, of course, he was still pushing for, being on the councils and being involved in everything political, which not everybody was really in agreement to, which led, first of all, in January 3rd, 1868, to the restoration of imperial rule, which was formally reclaimed, where Emperor Meiji, who is only 15 years old at this point, took over. And initially, they were happy with the results. Wait, I have to go over here, actually. And Takamori Saigo, who you met earlier, the leader of the Satsuma domain, was absolutely against involving Yoshinobu in any sort of council, which then led on January 17 for Yoshinobu to declare that he will not be bound by this proclamation and will basically go ahead and do his own thing in a while, which then led to the Battle of Toba Fushimi here in January 27th, 1868, which was like a major battle between the pro and anti-shogunate forces. Like there's basically all-out civil war in Japan at this point. And we at this point decide to go once again with the pro-shogunate forces. You can go anti-shogunate, it doesn't really matter. You're just, going through the mission in reverse. But in history, what happened is that the shogunate suffered a major defeat here. Even though they overpowered the anti-shogunate forces by about 5-1, simply because the anti-shogunate forces were better trained in Western-style military tactics and had better armaments, they just completely overwhelmed the shogunate forces and called for a major retreat on their side. Now, how they spin it in the game, if you're actually part of the pro-shogunate forces, is even though we will win the upcoming boss fight, because obviously we have to. Of course, our Blade Twin will then try and assassinate Yoshinobu and force him to retreat anyway. We're just doing this here because I personally prefer this boss fight over the other one. I think it's a little bit easier, and that is why I go with the pro-shogunate forces into the Battle of Toba Fushimi here. But yeah, we have to fight Takamori and Kogoro once again. So we just try and make short work of them as far as this is possible. But yeah, this is also at least, historically accurate that Isami and Jules Brunet were actually leading the Imperial forces at this point. Oh, overextended a little bit too much there. Wasn't really paying attention to my key. So really just have to try and get rid of one of them quickly so they get sent out of their key blaze state, which we have now achieved. I generally tend to go for Takamori first because he's a, bigger target and a little bit easier to subdue than Kogoro. Because he will probably start running circles around me once again. Yeah, nearly there. Come on. There we go. But even though we won, because the Shogun was attacked himself, they had to flee. So they are now basically on their way back to Edo. So this was like a complete defeat for the Shogunate, like a major drawback, with the anti-Shogunate forces now basically on their way to Edo to basically raze it to the ground to properly get rid of the Shogunate, so to speak. I think Isami actually also dies during that battle there. I'm not exactly sure anymore, but at least Hijikata and Jules were able to flee to safety. So they are still part of the pro-shogunate forces at this point, but Izami is basically out of the picture at this point now. But yeah, with the shogun haven't, or the, yeah, I mean, I guess he's still supposed to be the shogun. Having retreated back to Edo, we will basically go ahead and follow him, because there is new disturbances in Edo as well, with Kaishu, like, you know, he's trying to save as many Japanese lives as he can. So his plan now is to raise Edo to the ground completely, just so that the anti-shogunate forces don't have anything to fight over, which is a pretty radical plan if you think about it, because at this point, you know, it's still the capital of Japan, and you don't just burn that to the ground willy-nilly. So we are trying to hold them off on that, and then comes word that more insurgents are trying to enter Edo Castle and assassinate the princess there, which would make negotiations even more strained than they already are, obviously. So we are trying to hope that that actually does not come to pass. Another group that has formed at this point is the Seki Hotai, which is formed by the imperialists, actually, you know, under the rule of Emperor Meiji. And they were a pretty interesting faction in the way that they were basically set up from the get-go, because the imperialists told them that, yeah, you know, you are part of us now, so please go around and spread the word that, you know, the emperor has been restored, which will come with tax cuts and, you know, all these things that will make all of your lives better. But those were all lies, you know, except that, yeah, okay, we are under imperial rule again now. But they were also like a very convenient scapegoat afterwards. So they were, you know, going around spreading all these lies to the people, and then the people, you know, imperial forces were just going, yeah, no, they were all just lying to. We're not doing any of these tax cuts and whatnot. So they were just scapegoats from the get-go, which is great. But I guess that's history for you. We're grabbing a couple more upgrades here, real quick. I'm not forgetting any. And then we haven't heard from Argick in a while. So if you want to go ahead and, you know, update us on a couple of things while we make our way through this very dark passageway. Oh my god.
Oh, thank you. I'm just mourning the fact that I don't have rocket boots now. You pointed that out, and I'm just not happy anymore. But I do want to let you all know, of course, that we are raising money for Mind. They are a nationwide organization committed to preventing mental health issues. As you know, sometimes you just need a bit of hand, you know? You need a bit of help to go out there. And Mind strives to provide support to individuals and families facing these mental health challenges. All your donations are, of course, going to go to Mind here. And we do have that bid war coming up very, very soon. We're going to be closing at the ending of the Rise of Ronin. Are we going to be killing the final boss, or are we going to be sparing them? Right now, Kill is in the lead with 20 euros. No one has voted to spare. So will we get a last-minute snipe? Aeshmah will keep us updated on when that is going to be taking place, but you're going to have to get that in soon, because we need to know it before we close it off.
Well, I can tell you that we are in the third to last mission of the game, with the final mission just being the boss fight. So this is technically already the second to last mission of the game. So, you know, time is running out, kind of.
So you only have a couple of minutes to get your donations in for that. And don't forget, when you donate as well, there are some prizes around. You've been seeing some of them pop up on the side of the stream there, like the Splatoon merch bundle, the Pokemon bundle. You also have the little Ditto plushie that you've been seeing. You can get yourselves in for those with cumulative donations. So if you donate 10 euros now, donate 5 euros later, you're in for everything that's 15. Same if you do 30 in sets of 10. That gives you all the way up to the 30s as well. So please do keep your donations coming in.
Yeah, we're almost at the end of this mission as well, which of course will culminate in a boss fight against Sozo, which was the leader of the first unit of the Seki Hotai. And if you remember, I said earlier that Mizo... Oh god, I actually forgot the name. The one of the Shinsengumi that we killed actually became the leader of the second unit of the Seki Hotai. So, you know, he really didn't die at that point. Miki Saburo, that was the name. Thank you. But yes, Sozo Sagura, he is a bit of a bastard. He is quite fast for, you know, swinging his Odachi like he is. Oh my lord. We're just trying to, once again, corner him. But he is just not having any of that, apparently, today. Okay, he's now entering his second phase. He's using blood magic or whatever because he's just stabbing himself. It's kind of a little bit, you know, reminiscent of Lady Maria in a way, where she just stabs herself and then hits you with his blood and fire. Just that guy doesn't have any fire for some reason, but I'm happy he doesn't. And he's down. Okay, like I said before, this is like the third to last mission, so we basically have only one more proper mission, and then the final boss fight separating us from the end of the game. So if you want to get your donations in for the incentive, or for this run, or for any other incentive, really, before we go to the intermission, now would be the time to do it. Because everything is definitely coming to a head in the story here as well, now that we have saved Princess Atsu for the second time. We already saved her at the end of the first act of the game. But it is one more, but basically what she does now, she writes a really heartfelt letter, because she is part of the Satsuma domain, which Takamori is part of as well, to him. And it's like, you know what, we have to end this bloodshed between all of the Japanese people at this point. We have to come to a conclusion. We have to solve this amicably and politically, and not through just bloodshed. And we get tasked with delivering that letter to him now. And it's also going a little bit back to the beginning of the run, where we now go back to Yokohama, because that is apparently where Takamori is not hiding out, but where he's just stationed at the moment with his military forces. We will... Okay. We'll just go like we are. Now, this is actually a bit of an interesting mission in the fact that you were already able to go to this part of the map earlier in the game when you were still in the first act, but you could never access this fortress-like structure that we are about to enter. It was just closed off. But now that we actually have the mission for it, so to speak, we can finally enter it. We just have to make our way over to the gate at first. Now, you can go through this whole village thing and, you know, fight a couple more enemies and whatnot, but it's not needed. You can just immediately beeline for the fortress itself, making your way, you know, past the cannons and the miniguns and whatnot. Oh, come on. Oh, I ran out of key. Okay, first of all, you do want to get rid of the minigunner, though. If the game would let me, that would be fantastic. Okay, and then we fight Hanjiro. Like, he is actually quite the opponent, because he just has like these really long combos that he tries to hit you with. So you're just really hoping he goes for some of the shorter ones that you can more easily counter-spark. So you can shoot him in the face. Okay. I figured that would happen at some point. Oh, okay. Just trying to end this fight quickly. Grab the key. I think I'll actually go ahead and rest at the next banner just to get a refill on my resources, including my health. Well, the next boss fight is probably my favorite boss fight in the game. We're just gonna make our way up this ladder and outside of the barracks here. Well, this boss fight right here. You can see this guy, you know, coming behind the barricades there, but if we just go over here, like, for once, this gate just isn't locked, so we can't just leave this guy behind and just, you know... We don't have to do the boss fight. Which I am very thankful for, because by the god, that guy is... If you thought some of the other bosses in the run so far were menaces, this guy just notches it up to 11. Like, oh my god. He is a major problem. So I'm just really thankful that we can just bypass him, like, completely. I don't know if they forgot to lock that gate, or if that is intentional or whatnot, but I highly appreciate it. And yeah, we are once more into a fight with Takamori over here. It's like the third time we're facing off against him. second time also with his dog that we actually have to defeat as well for once. The first time we fought him, the dog came in as a reinforcement for him, like once he was at like half health. And you didn't have to defeat the dog to win the fight, but this time you absolutely have to. There we go. So we take care of Takamori while our allies hopefully take care of the dog, so I don't have to do that. It's kind of funny that they actually have a Keyblaze as well. Ah, God. Okay, I guess we're taking care of the dog first. I think that might have been the first time that the dog died first, but yeah. That was that fight. We really only have the final boss fight left over, so if you quickly want to go ahead and read that donation, Arg.
We have a €10 donation from Killer Chair that just says, I heard we still got a bonus game to open up. Let's make that push. And they did put it towards an incentive. They put it towards the berries. So it's looking like you are going to be killing the final boss. You're going to give us that, you're going to let us know when we're closing it. Is it now or?
As soon as the fight starts, I would say. We'll see when the fight starts and then just go ahead and close this, which will be in less than a minute.
Well, we'll wait and see. But I will let you know. I'll leave it for the minute and we'll see what happens.
But yeah, like at this point, you know, we basically talked to Takamori to, you know, go back into negotiations with Katsu, and while Kaishu and Takamori will have this discussion about what to do with Edo, we will basically intercept our twin, because of course they will try to intervene with those discussions and finally get rid of them. So this will be the final boss fight of the game. And of course, it's between us and her. And I actually forgot to do something here, because we can go into our stance, and then we want to equip Autumn Current on that, and then we want to use that other stance. There we go. This is gonna be quite the thrilling battle, depending on what happens. Like, she has just all the moves that she had in the previous fights notched up to 11. So yeah, basically you can go ahead and close that incentive now, because we are about to end this. But only the second try on this. Don't reload the weapon, you... Oh my god. Okay. And with that, we are going to kill her.
We're going to be killing her. Killing takes the win.
And that is time. Yeah, that was quite a run. I was really happy that I was able to show this one off. Like you probably saw, like, there's a lot of things that can just completely go off the rails during the fights with this, but there's also just so much to talk about, like with the story in the game itself, but also the history surrounding this. And just to bring it close to what we talked about, like at this point, like Kaishu completely surrendered Edo City, you know, the main seat of the shogun, to the the imperial forces at this point. So that was like a major victory for them, and that was actually the breakthrough for proper, the imperial rule to be re-instigated in Japan at this point. Now, there were still skirmishes being fought like for years after, like Hijikata and Jules Bonnet, for example, went to northern Japan and tried to form another nation over there and tried to gain like international recognition for it, which, you know, led to more skirmishes and more rebellions. So it was still like, you know, a time of bloodshed after all this time of bloodshed. But yeah, it's like a really interesting period of time in Japan over there. So I highly recommend you all not to check out this game, but also, you know, to read up on it if you feel like it, because I think it's not represented in media enough, even though it's like a really great time for stories to be had. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for BSG for having me. Thank you so much for all of your donations. Have fun with the rest of the marathon. Good luck to all the runners still coming up, because we are not done with the marathon yet. No, we're going for more than a day still, trying to raise money for Mind at this point. It was the last of my runs during the event, so I am out of here. And yeah, let's go ahead and raise that at least 5,500 so we can see that Lilith Wars bonus game run by argick a little bit later in the marathon. And that's it for me. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you very much, Aeshmah. Aeshmah's doing my job there for us. It's going to be the end for me on this as well. I'm just going to leave him waving there for as long as he can. No, I won't do that one. That is going to be it for me on hosting as well. We're going to be switching over to the wonderful Floha coming up, and we're going to get ourselves out for the next run. Don't go anywhere. Keep it here with BSG Annual 25.